Boom! We're live. All right, and I'm ready. As you can see, I'm ready for action. I've donned my nitrile gloves, and I'm ready. It's so good to see everybody in the chat. How you doing? G'day, Irene. And g'day to Jim Meeker as well. Laurie Woodward in the house, Bill Connolly. Now, let me know if you can see me and if you can hear me. Just give me a shout. Feels like I'm prepped for a crime scene or something here. Hopefully today's not a crime scene. Hopefully it's all okay. Well, I'm going to wait for confirmation from tomorrow, Lori, or whoever's first. Danielle's here. Okay. I think we got a really... Okay, good. Okay, great. We've got a delay. That just tells me we've got about a minute delay, but that's all good. All right. I got a good one for you today. I'm a little excited and I'm a little bit nervous. So yes, we are going to be painting a seascape today. That is true. We are going to be doing this. And I saw a little comment there from Jim Meeker. He said, of course I'm going to tune into the seascape. Of course. So today, what I want to talk to you about though, is I want to talk to you about making a statement. All right? There's a few people on the plein air trip who are already rolling their eyes going, oh, here we go. You know what I'm about to say. Making a statement. So we really want to focus today on brushwork. And this is something that I'm actually forcing myself into this position, into this situation where I have to think about my particular mark, how I deposit paint. Now, there's a conversation that's been going for a while, and I get this question all the time, and I think I've even put some stuff on the Creator Activator about this, but we've spoken about it here before, so my OGs kind of have probably no doubt heard this, but about finding your style. How do you find your style? And my theory is that you don't. You faithfully, with everything you have, go after your subject, and you try and bring that subject to life. And you do that. As you're doing that, what happens is your style ends up coming to the surface. When you consciously focus on your style, you end up trying to do things that are a little bit weird, a little bit wacky, a little bit different. And how many painters out there? Everybody's trying to be like Sargent, right? Don't try and be like Sargent. Sargent's already got you whipped. We can appreciate Sargent. We can maybe notice some of the things that Sargent did, but Sargent already has you whipped. So here's the thing. We need to focus on the subject and focus on how we want to communicate that subject, let that style come to the surface. So I'm actually in a rapid growth phase right now in terms of artistically. I've just turned up the dial on the pressure a little bit. I'm going to show you exactly what the heck I'm talking about here, because maybe you can see right here from the side angle of that camera. Can you see the size of the board? Let me shift my camera here. Here we go. Here we go. So this is a something by something. I don't even know. I've actually started taping loose linen to my, and this is, it started to be my plein air setup because I've been using my crumpy. What's my crumpy? The easel, I won't get my easel box. You'll see it in the plein air video. But it's an easel box that I bought off the one and only John Crump. And I absolutely love it. But it takes a really big panel. And it's best suited for loose leaf linen taped to a board. So this is what I'm going to be working on. So to give you an idea, that's the size of my hand, right? Okay, so we're roughly, what would that be? About 7 by maybe 20, 21, something like that. So, but it's a little bit over a 2-to-1 format. And I think this is perfectly suited to a wave, to a seascape. Piotr's in the house. Hey, good morning, Piotr. There's too many people. Scott Holliday's in the house. How are you, man? Scott from Fairbanks. Shout out to Brenda, Scott. I hope Brenda's doing good. And Scott and Brenda joined us on our plein air tour, of course. Now today I'm giving away a prize. Oh, and next week, you'll want to tune into next week. Next, I'll just give you a heads up, but I'll mention this again at the end in case you have to go early. There's always some people that need to leave class early. That's okay. That's okay. I'm paying attention to who's leaving early, by the way. Right? Not having it. But to the people that have to leave early, today I'm giving away a t-shirt. That's right, I'm giving away a t-shirt. I'm giving away this t-shirt. Here we go. I'm not even washing it. It's not snap buttons. They're actually undo buttons. Here we go. I'm undressing on the live stream. There we go. Tools of the trade. What's that say? Tish Academy. Boom. We got some official merch. Official merch in the house. That's one of them. I also have an Extreme Plein Air. I have a special edition Extreme Plein Air that only a group of about 20 odd people, not odd people, but 20 people. You know what I'm saying? Well, some of them were pretty odd, let's face it. But 20 people got a very special edition of that shirt. But I'm going to be running the Extreme Plein Air shirt. And we got a few others coming on the way, and some of them are actually kind of funny. So I just wanted to make some merch that I wanted to wear. How come you can't get good art merch these days? Well, you can now. So I'm giving away this t-shirt. And next week, I'm probably going to give away another one. Well, no, actually, because next week, I'm actually giving away something else. I'm giving away a painting. Yeah, I'm going to give away a painting. So I'm doing a public live stream, and then it's going to flow on to the Academy live stream where I'm going to be adding some finishing touches. So if you catch the public live stream, it's going to be next week, Thursday. So if you're in the US right now, it's going to be your Wednesday. And then the following day, which is my Friday, your Thursday, it's going to be an Academy exclusive where I finish off what I was doing in the public live stream. But at the end of that live stream, I'm giving away the painting, and we're giving it away to somebody at random. So there you go. All right. Let's talk about what we're going to be painting here. So, Seascapes. I'm kind of throwing you a bit of a curveball. Now, the thing is, we keep looking for perfect photographs. I'm seeing this all the time. We've got to find the perfect photo. Got to find something that's got everything in there that we really want to copy, right? No. I've never come across that. I don't have that. In fact, even when I'm out there painting plein air, as a lot of our participants on that tour will tell you, when we're looking at that landscape, there's even things in the landscape right in front of you that you should change, you should edit. We need to think about things that we need to emphasize, things that we need to play down, perspectives that we need to shift, light that we need to tweak, a particular effect that we need to amplify. There's all kinds of changes that we need to make. But all I'm looking for is the seed of the idea in which this wonderful concept can germinate. So I'm going to consider this, or normally I'd go through a design and synthesis process, but I'm going to consider this the seed of the idea. There's some really cool stuff going on, but I think you and I can agree that this is not quite enough, what we're seeing in this photograph. We need a little bit more. And I see my keyboard is very low. Okay, well, let me go ahead and X out of that. I'm not going to need my keyboard today, so you're all good. Is that it? There we go. There we go. Okay. So here's some photographs. And I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, these were just in my Seascape file, but I'm pretty sure that these were near a place called Red Rocks down near Wellington. So what I love, and this is the thing, I was saying to the folks on the tour, I want to hear some lovey-dovey, artsy-fartsy stuff. Start here, okay? Always start here. Look, if you're going to paint this thing and you're going to put in your best, connect with it emotionally. What do you love? What do you love about this? Well, I mean, you might be looking at it going, dude, nothing. Quiet, all right? I tell you what I love about this. I love the aftermath of this epic, boom, this smash, where you get this misty light that shining through this sea spray, but it's just a vapor. And then you see the next wave building. So I love the action in this. And the light makes it, and the light is what amplifies that action. So it's that interplay of the two. Very dynamic. I love me a composition that's dynamic. I also love this wave in the background, and I love that sharp highlight versus shadow relationship in those rocks. That's really cool too. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So you can see here there's a few. Now, It's early here in New Zealand. Jim Fairburn has not arrived at work yet, but as soon as he has, I've given him these images to attach to the live stream on the Academy. So when you go to that page on your Academy, you can get the shortcut there via the homepage. You'll have access to that. So, are we excited? Are we excited? All right, let's have some comments. Now before, yes, Deb Lynch, agreed 100%, the power that the ocean has. It's pretty epic, pretty epic. I'm not sure if this is in focus, so bear with me while I just get a little bit of my tech. I was here for like an extra hour last night, just getting this dang thing sorted out, because it decided it wanted to not cooperate. So let me rotate, there we go. Can we see that? Can we see our palette? Okay. A little bit of Liquid Original. This needs to be replenished. I really need to clean this puddle out, but who has time for that? Ain't nobody got time for that. And while I'm getting out some color here, let's answer some questions. Remember, I'm here for you, but before we get into the questions, and we go through the drill, my OGs know what to do, I want to hear from you. And I'm going to need Tamara, Ann, or Jim, or Lori, or whoever wants to volunteer to do this for me today in this live stream. Remind me every half an hour to reset the recording. And before I put my first brush strokes down, just double check with me that I'm recording this, because I am going to record this on the other camera. So, if you're new, let me know who you are, and where you're tuning in from. And because this paint has gone dry, that's a pretty good indication that I've been dealing with some stuff this week, running stuff, and haven't gotten a whole lot of painting done, unfortunately. Next week, though, it looks like a really nice full painting schedule, which should be great. I am looking forward to that. I don't know why I suddenly became Scottish, but there you go. Okay, so if you're new, let us know. Say, hey, I'm new, by typing in 3 capital N's for new. That way I'll see you in the chat and I can shout you out. And if this is your second live stream because you were new last week, then do let me know. But welcome. We love our newbies here. My OGs, you know what to do. Hit me up in the chat, my OGs. I'm going to have a t-shirt just for my OGs. We're going to have to make something, aren't we? All this paint's pretty good. It's pretty fresh. And so if you got a question today, type in 3 capital Q's for me, please. Even some of my OGs were forgetting to do that last week. It was really throwing me off, but I caught most of them. But again, the rule with the questions is just spam me, because occasionally I might miss it. And it's my intention to answer every single one, everyone. I'm going to move this trash can closer because we're going to need it today. I'm going to be with you for about 3 hours today. And in that time, I hope to get a really nice, a little more than a block in. But again, we're going to talk about calligraphy and mark making. I'm going to get to it and tell you, like, how exactly is that going to happen? How are we going to do that? Because what I'm doing is I'm forcing the situation. I'm not forcing my style as such, but I'm going to try and faithfully represent my subject. But I'm just creating a scenario that might encourage that a little bit more. There is a process called perturbation, where you apply, and I'm not saying this as if I know, but I heard this somewhere. I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, remember, I'm an idiot, all right, at the best of times. So this is where you apply a little bit of force or a little bit of agitation or pressure to the outside of a cell, and it will do one of 3 things. It will stay the same, it'll decay and die, or it will grow. But when you get the right level of pressure, it grows, or it adapts to the pressure or the what you're applying to it. I kind of like that. So I'm thinking of my painting in that way, right? Just turning up the pressure a little bit to see if I can grow and create something cool. Okay, do we have any newbies? I can't see any newbies here. Well, that's all right. We're all OGs, and we're all somewhat newbies. Let me go over here and just scroll in my chat. My second live stream says, Tessie, welcome to your second live stream. Are you still enjoying the new yellows? I think I'm actually going to be able to use those new yellows today, Nikki. And sorry for throwing you off with the time. Rowan Carey is in the house. Dude, I haven't seen that name in a little while. Welcome back, brother. Awesome. Yeah, Balsam, you are definitely an OG. You have earned it. You've been here well over a year. You get OG status. Absolutely. My OGs need a t-shirt. I tell you what. I tell you what. The only color that I don't have out on my palette, and we'll talk about it today, I'm enjoying the new yellows, but I think I'm going to be able to achieve just about everything I have to achieve. Gosh, that is an oily sucker, isn't it? This is nickel yellow deep. Let's go over our colors. And this is exactly what I had out on the palette last week. And this is pretty much exactly what I'd have out on the palette now for portraits. For the most part, most plein airs are going to have this. And seascapes, you'll see. It's a little yellow heavy. That's the thing that is kind of concerning to me, is I might have a little bit too much yellow out here. Goodness, we've got like 5 yellows. We don't need 5 yellows. We don't. But every one of them so far I'm finding a use for. So I'm going to whittle this down again, but right now I'm enjoying it. So we're just trying to find what fits, right? The yellows that I could drop very happily are these two right here. I think we can mix something pretty good with a cadmium lemon and maybe a titanium white for that one, or maybe a Hansa yellow or an Indian yellow and white for maybe a deeper shade. I think we can get something that could work. If you want more transparent, then go ahead and use Kremnitz white. If you want more opaque, then go ahead and use a little bit of titanium. Duana Bennett, OG. Hello from Southern California. Awesome. First started following you on YouTube before Patreon. Thank you so much. Oh, but welcome. Welcome to the studio. That's awesome. Sally is new. We got a newbie in the house. Sally, welcome, Sally from Colorado. Awesome. And Ash is here from Tassie. Awesome. Early for you. Real early. Oh my goodness. Ash, what are you doing up? Go back to bed. It's recorded. You can come back. Quentin Davis has got a question in the house. I'm doing a commission with quite a few straight lines. It's a door ajar in front of a house, garden or a house. I'm struggling with getting straight, thin lines. Any tips? Go over straight can be too defined. Yeah, hey, I agree. Going too straight and making it too defined could be problematic, brother. It really could. It could be problematic because it tends to look a little bit hokey. Maybe there'll be an opportunity for us to talk about how to create a straight line, but there's not much in the way of straight lines in this scene. I can tell you that much. We'll go over the colors, and I'm going to explain about that, and it's going to come down to how you use shape and edge to define straightness. So we'll talk about the colors first. Let's go burnt umber right here. We've got a little bit of transparent red oxide, transparent yellow oxide, titanium white, Kremnitz white. We've got some nickel yellow deep, cadmium lemon. And I'm telling you right now, on my palette, right, I'm going to shift up the color on this light. This to my eye, it feels it's a little dark, I get it, but this to my eye feels correct. Oh, just in time, Joe in the house. Joe, could you put some coffee in this cup for me? Yep. You know how I do? Can you also warm that thing up before you chuck the coffee in because it's gone stone cold? Thank you, brother. Awesome. All right, then we got some cadmium lemon. We got some Indian yellow, cadmium red light, sneaky, cheeky little bit of permanent crimson just right there. I didn't actually leave any room for it. Maybe we could actually get it in here. Get in. Right there. And then right here, we just shift that little fella. There we go. Permanent crimson, quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, cobalt teal, phthalo green, and chromium green oxide. You're not going to need the chromium green oxide today, I don't think. You might, but probably not. Probably not. So let's go to our board and let's start to think about composition. But before we do, how on earth are we going to mix this? Let's, every week, this blooming thing throws me a curveball. Why is my program throwing me a curveball? There we go. It throws me a curveball. Okay, so we'll get to that one, Quentin. Quentin, can you remind me later in the stream to answer that question? Because I really do want to answer that. We need to talk about that. I'll move on for now, though, because I want to show an example of how I do that, Quentin. We'll move on to Jay Schleichinger's question. When oil paint dries up a little on the palette and creates a slight film on its surface, do you have to remove the film before mixing with the medium? Yes, you would have seen right here that a few of these went dry, and I simply used the palette knife across the surface of that lump of paint, and particularly with the cobalt, particularly with the oxide, you saw me just kind of get that surface off of there and then scrape it clean. There's perfectly good oil paint inside there. But one thing I don't like is the little doohickeys that float around in there. It's really annoying, really annoying. So I don't like any dried pigment, nothing in there. So James is in the house. How you doing, James? I was blown away by James's portrait that he sent me yesterday. I was looking at that thing going, good night. To be fair, James, you messaged that to me a while ago, I know. I'm just now clearing out a whole stack of DMs now that I'm back in the studio, and it's taken me a while to catch up, I must admit. So I appreciate everybody's patience with me, but I'm hopefully going to be through all of those today as well. But James, great looking portrait, man. That was friggin' awesome. Anyway, question from James. Was painting plein air and the winds kept flapping my paper towels everywhere. I know, right? Dude, have you ever had like a roll of, Joe Moore. I wish I could show everybody how good this coffee looks. Look at this. Look at the caramelization on that sucker right. Look at that. Oh, come on. I've trained you well. Oh, so good. So good. I don't even mind the little bit of spit in there. All right. The winds kept flapping my paper towels everywhere. Got paint on my paints. Well, okay. Any tips on how to keep paper towels in place? With your roll, chuck it down in your kit. All right. Chuck this thing in your kit. I actually have a storage tote, and I put the lid on the storage tote. I've got some solutions to keep out of the rain and to keep out of the sun. The wind is something that I'm struggling with. I don't like painting in the wind. And we've painted, haven't we, on the plein air tour? We've painted in some windy situations. We have marquee tents that we paint under. And dang it, we broke the tents on one of the occasions. Broke the frames and nearly ripped the tents. It was phenomenal, the amount of wind coming through. Not my finest day painting, but hey, that's why they call it extreme. It's extreme. Extreme plein air. A little bit of burnt umber, a little bit of quinacridone magenta. So James, suffice to say, what I would do if I was you, mate, I would just have a storage tote or have some way. You don't want to have your paper towels out. And even just like get paper towels out of your rucksack and do this. In fact, I'm going to do this right now. You'll know what I'm about to do. I'm going to get my paper towels and I'm going to tear off two. For my newbies that were watching last week, we did this last week, didn't we? For my OGs, you know what I'm about to do, two. And I want you to go back, and I want you, and Sally from Colorado, I want you to go back and watch last week's live stream because there's some studio practice tips in there that I think would really, really help. So what do we do with these paper towels? Well, you got two squares out. You want to fold it in half, right? Now it's 2-ply. Now it's 4-ply. Now it's 8-ply. Have this as a little booklet in your hand and just have a bunch of those, James. And in my pochade box, So I'm using an Alla Prima Pochade often, but in this Crumpy that is several years old, it's nearly a decade old now, but I've got little compartments that I can just shove that in, that it's not going to get flicked out by the wind, and I just weigh it down with a tube of paint or whatever. But got one of those. Let me fold up a couple of these. So, all right, QQQ, I accidentally bought alizarin permanent. Will that do as a crimson? Well, hopefully when they say alizarin permanent, they mean it. So I think you'll be okay. I wouldn't worry about that. They've obviously matched the hue, and they've done something about the light fastness. So I think you're all right there. Hey, don't worry, Mike. You'll be all good. All right. So you guys are onto it. I can't even fold this paper towel. What gives? There we go. There we go. So we're all in good form then. Is everybody all right? Sounds like some people are getting rained out over there in the U.S. in various states. Sounds like the east coast of Bloomin' down under Australia is copping it as well, or has recently. So I hope everybody's in fine form. Let's get on with this seascape. The first thing I've done is I've made up a little bit of a mix, and we're going to draw up on this canvas once again. I'm referring to this. I've made some statements to myself about what I love. The reason I do that is, number one, I want to emotionally connect with my subject. I really feel this is important. That way I'm not going to just let up on it. It's not just going to be a flippant exercise. I'm actually going to connect with this. And I'm then, as I'm making these statements, I'm going to think, okay, what is that thing that I really love? Can we give that pride of place within the composition? That's important. So I've mixed up a little bit of burnt umber, quinacridone magenta, and let's start sketching up. Now, I really love this line somewhere around here, and the main thing that I'm really after is that, that wave. I think that wave and that explosion and the mist is really one of the key elements that I want to draw the eye. I don't know how I ended up with quinacridone magenta on my brush handle, but as soon as I recognize it, I'm like, you sucker, get off of there. I don't want to be transferring paint to my dang hand continually. Oh, somebody was going to remind me to record. Okay, here we go. Let me just get my recording set, and we'll get going. Awesome. Well, now we're cooking. Excellent. Okay, so I got some rocks, I got some water, but I know generally I want this explosion to happen right there. I think that would be cool. I think the base of that wave and the base of those rocks needs to come a little bit below halfway, because I don't want anything going right in the middle. My 5, and I'm just recording some critiques now, and I talk about my do's and don'ts of composition. I just had a wonderful call with Srinivas. Oh man, I tell you what, Srini is my brother from another mother. He's an awesome guy. So he joined us on the plein air tour, and I tell you what, Srinivas can really paint. We're talking about composition. This critique video is coming out very soon. But I was talking to him, and you would have heard this before, the 5 don'ts of composition. Number 1, let's not put anything dead center. So that means I'm going to avoid this center line right here, right? My horizontal center, my vertical center. These diagonals, and I'm also going to avoid putting any major subject right there in the dead center. So here with this explosion, which hopefully is going to draw the eye, and I want people to look at it and go, wow, that's cool. I want to have that over there on that side. And it means something can go in the center, but it's not like a major, I'm not going to put a rock, bang, right there, that is the intended focal point for the painting. Stuff can occupy that space or cut across that space, but we just don't want to have anything leading you to dead center, because I think it's a composition killer. When we're going for this thing called asymmetrical balance. Now, there are times and places to use centers. You look at every painting done by Frank Frazetta, and it's the same isosceles triangle. in the center over and over and over again. So I'm thinking we're going to have this monstrous wave curling up, building here, rocks down here that created this explosion. There might be a rock here that's getting eaten by the wave. Oh, I like that, just getting chewed up in those jaws. So I need to think about the right kind of collection of rocks here. I do like activity here. There's something else going on. Look at the photograph on the right and the one on the left down there on your screen, right? And as you're looking at that, you can see that there's a little something going on in the foreground. If I have a subject here, I don't want to put another focal point right directly below it. I think I'm going to, in order to occupy space, I want to make sure I go somewhere else. So what's another little thing? And I also don't want to do this. I don't want to put anything like this, like a rock here, maybe a rock here. I don't want to put anything in my corners. Now, things can come out of the corner, cut across the corner, or whatever in a natural way, but I don't want to go, well, I'm going to put a big rock right here. Obviously, we don't want to do this. So, why? Well, let's explain this. The edges of your canvas, remember, are vectors. What are vectors? Vectors are lines of force or lines of sight that our eye travels along. They can be within the painting, but they also can be outside of the painting. Anytime we have an intersection here and maybe a little bit of a subject there in the corner, our attention and our eye is drawn to that place. You literally anchor the attention in these corners. You don't want to do that. You want to occupy your viewer right here and have them looking right here at this dynamic relationship. So if we can do that, hey, top marks. That's what we're after. Now, there is something going on with these photographs that I really don't like. And I'll tell you what it is. Is it just me, or does it look like I'm like really short today? Like I'm really low down? It does. I didn't adjust. Let's bring that down. Right, there we go. Okay, so the thing I don't like is I don't like the elevated view looking down at the beach. So you'll notice that I do this with a lot of my reference. I might get the photograph from high up looking down, but what I'm going to do now with the perspective here is I'm going to come down to water level and I'm going to look across. So I don't want to be up looking down. I want to be flat looking across. Make sense? All right. Got a question here from Dan Beresford. Hi, Andrew. Have you gone from turquoise phthalo in your palette yet? I haven't gone away from it. I've got it here, Daniel. I will probably use it for some bigger paintings. If I do this again as a studio painting or as a bigger version, I might go ahead and get into the turquoise phthalo. But just for the most part, I don't often use it. And the reason why, I mean, it's a great color, and it's great for seascapes and waves, and particularly some of those bottle greens that you achieved, Daniel, down in your foreground. Look, fantastic color, but I just find if I'm able to mix something, if I don't have a real need, I'll avoid getting it out every single time. So really, the palette that you see, with the exception of these two new ones that I'm experimenting with, the palette you see is pretty much what I use across the board for everything now. I don't want to say I'm getting set in my ways, but I'm really loving what can be achieved there. And what I'm after is just something that I know will get the job done. I can achieve transparency, I can achieve opacity, I can achieve whatever hue you can point a brush at. And I'm not saying that as a brag. I mean, it's taken many, many years to come up with a palette that will do anything that I want. You know, anything. Dark tone, boom, you got it. Light, you got it. The only thing I would struggle with, I could get the impression or the illusion of this, but the only thing I struggle with would be true, in Australia, down under, and here in New Zealand, they call it high vis, right? So every council worker, every construction worker, every transport driver, whatever, they're wearing their high vis. It's either a really bright green, fluorescent green, a really bright fluorescent orange, something like that. So I struggle with those really intense, high-key fluorescent colors. But let's face it, who's painting that, all right? I came that close to nearly painting that, a mine site, Fortescue Metals Group, it was many years ago. I was up there at the mines documenting, and I was photographing Fortescue metal operations, and everybody's in their high vis. So it's like bright Pilbara red and high vis. Very interesting. Anyway, so the project never happened, so, but it's all right. I've still got the reference. I might do something with it. All right. We've got a question here from Duana, and I'm just going to sketch up, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about what I'm thinking. But let me answer this question. I'll read it out first. Get a little bit more of that color on my brush. And is it just me, or is it a little bit too dark here? Can I go ahead and what camera is this? This is camera ZV2, and on my ZV2, can I get my brightness up a little bit? That's as bright as it's going to let me go. Okay. Hopefully you can see that okay. I'm sorry about the glare. We'll work that out at some point. Duana from southwestern Colorado. Okay, not California, sorry. I have lots of reference photos on my computer. Do you back your reference photos to the cloud or have an external drive? I've got an external drive, or I should say drives. At this point now, I'm sitting at, and I think at a conservative guess, over 1 million reference images. Well and truly. I've been doing this for a lot of years now. I remember listening to my father when I was much younger, and he was saying stuff like, you know, I've been a sculptor for 27 years. I've been a sculptor for 35. I've been a sculptor for 4, as years roll on, right? And I'm like, dude, you are old. How'd that happen? Like, I just to have the concept of somebody working at something for 20 years. Well, dang it, here I have, I've woken up, and now I've got 20 years under my belt. So in that time, I've accumulated a few photographs. You might be watching this now going, yeah, nice try, kid. I've got a lot more years under my belt. Well, maybe you do, but I'm just blown away. I'm still a 17-year-old idiot. So no offense to 17-year-old idiots out there. But I just really still feel like a kid. I think we need a little repoussoir. Repoussoir. Apparently, I'm saying it correctly. Baudouin, are you in the house? Let me know. But somebody was criticizing, saying you're saying it wrong. I have a genuine French dude, a real French dude, an emphasis on the word dude. What a dude. Really cool guy. Joined us on the plein air tour. And he was telling me, you're French. Magnifique. It's like, yeah, right. It took me 5 days just to learn how to say his name. I'm sorry, bro. But anyway, good fun. So I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking this is going to be rock, in case you're a little bit confused about my scribbling. That's going to be rock. This is going to be rock here. That's going to be getting eaten by a wave. This is going to be rock here. Rock, 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 rock there. Some interesting rocky shapes. And I'm thinking generally a 1, a 2, and a 3. So 1, 2, and a 3, occupying space in this. I can get rid of some. I know what you're thinking, but don't put those one under the other. But I'm thinking if I connect these and there's a few rocks, then maybe I can stagger it so we have one occupying space over there so they're not directly under each other. Maybe I can get away with it. Maybe put another rock there. So there is another rule in composition. It's called TMI, too much information. I want to put stuff in. I want to simplify it to a certain extent, but I don't want to have too much going on. I want to have just a little bit. You know, and you really can have too much of a good thing. Often what happens is we're like, oh, wow, that's cool. And so you just keep doing it over and over and over again. Too much information. You don't want to do that. So what do? We avoided our center lines. Okay, back on track. Thank you. Avoid our center lines. Don't put anything in the corner. No one puts rock in a corner. Too much information. There was something else there. Exiting vectors. That's right. You want to maintain attention within this scene. So this rock, and a little bit of a repoussoir, this rock, I'm thinking, is going to form a vector that's going to point into my composition this way. Check out that arrow. Don't worry about the arrow. We'll end up moving it next in a little while. This wave, we're going to be building up into a little bit of a crest right here. Oh, that could be cool. It's curling over, it's breaking. There's maybe something that's already broken over here previously, maybe a little bit of mist, potentially. A little bit of ambiguity there, but we can work on this. But this wave has gone boom, smash. It's formed a splash right here. Maybe that's a good opportunity to actually put a decent size rock in. Let's put a decent rock in there. That'd be cool. So as this wave actually smashes, that'll work, he says, hoping. I think in terms, we were talking before about perspective, it is going to be important to have some sort of horizon. But I think this puts us on eye level. And you'll see I do this over and over again with my seascapes. I try and put the viewer at eye level with the wave. So it almost becomes a portrait in a wave, but we identify with our subject immediately. We're standing there at the shoreline, witnessing this thing coming in, and it puts us in the action. So it's repoussoir, says Danielle. There we go. She says, good. All right. All right. Hey, thanks, Ash. Ash already has to duck away. Man, you get up early, Ash, and you're off to work already. All right. So, Lori says she's got more years than me, but I've probably spent more of it painting. There you go. It's not a race. It's all good. Could we make the waves and splash a bit larger than it shows in the photo? Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what I'm doing. So and this is the thing. When you're high up with this perspective and you're photographing this thing and you're getting your reference material, just get the idea down. You just want to capture it. So I'm often shooting pretty wide angle, and that's okay. So I'm looking at my seascape, shooting this wide angle. And what's happening is all I'm looking for is just a little bit of information in that photograph. I want to capture as much as I can, and then I can go and zoom in, especially if you're shooting HD nowadays with all the mega pops that you get in any given image. You can actually get a lot of great information to come back out. So then in the actual painting, have a look at the size of the wave in those photographs. It's tiny. So I'd say it takes up maybe 5% in terms of the overall height of your composition, but this takes up nearly a quarter. So the height of my wave has jumped 20%. Does that make sense? So absolutely you can do this. So that would be the height of my wave right there now. So I'm thinking about that. Hopefully you can start to see this, as I draw this in, I'm thinking about this scoop shape right here. I'm thinking about then it's absolutely completely breaking on itself. It's entering that rock. We've got a rock right here. We've got a splash that goes all the way off the top of the painting. That'll be fun. It's going to catch some light. Very interesting, very nice. And then we've got it sloping down over here. Very nice. When I say that about my own painting, I start going very nice. It's more just a positive affirmation. It really helps me with the jitters, because you guys make me nervous. And I'm just hoping that each week that I do this, I'm not going to screw this one up. Not this week. So hopefully that is starting to come out, and you're starting to see what I'm thinking here. So we got a little bit of a shoreline. Why not? I like a little bit of how this meets this rock here in the foreground. We got a secondary wave coming through. and maybe we can have another little wave curling through here, but I think I've got something that resembles a composition. Let's have another question. I've already answered that one from Lori, so that's all right. I think we're all caught up in the question. Don't be shy if you got a question. Go ahead and hit me up. It's what we're here for. Finally, the last thing I'll say about composition in terms of our do's and our don'ts is this thing that I call aberration, all right? Or a order, pattern, something that seems out of the ordinary. This is our human element. It's a subconscious script that we all seem to have. We're pattern recognition creatures, but we're also pattern creation creatures. Whenever we're trying to create something that's natural looking, what happens is we tend to repeat the form in a very mechanical way. And we need to consciously fight this. Some of us do this more than others. I happen to do this a lot. What do I mean? Well, let's take this rock, for example. Let's define this rock just a little bit more. So I've got a particular shape here. Now, unless I'm careful, I have to make a conscious effort to make these shapes right here of these rocks. I have to make a conscious effort to make these shapes completely different. I'm going to have a flat rock there, to the shape of these rocks here. So this rock here, and when I say completely different, it's got to be made of the same stuff. It's got to be the same kind of material. But if I've made a particular angle on the face of this rock, and it's at, let's say, a 20 degrees from vertical, well, I'll make this one maybe 35 degrees from vertical. I'll just shift it ever so slightly. If this one's going to be a particular mass, well, then I might make this one, as our main rock, a little larger. If I'm going to have just one big rock, well, then I might have 2 or 3 medium-sized rocks and then maybe 5 or 6 smaller-shaped rocks. So there's a way to break aberration, and one of those tools is repetition, and another one of those tools is using this concept of big, medium, and small. So when we employ big, medium, small, we're making a conscious effort to go, okay, this is going to be a big shape that's getting eaten by our wave. This is our big one. Let's have one of those. With our medium-sized shape, well, we got another one here, we got one here, we got one here. So we have a few more medium-sized shapes. And then when it comes to our small shapes, well, we can have maybe half a dozen more of those. So this could be a small one, that could be a small one, this one's going to be a small one. So in terms of shape distribution and quality of shape, we just want to get a bit of variety there, and then that way we'll break this thing I call aberration. And then hopefully what this ends up doing is creating a scene that feels natural, that the viewer doesn't trip up on, and they're not actually aware when they look at your composition that they're looking at a composition. What I'm trying to do is get the painting out of the way and allow my viewer to have an experience. The trouble is sometimes when we're painting it, we're recreating nature, we create this distraction and it breaks that illusion. And suddenly they're like, oh, there's something funny going on there with those rocks. What? I don't like those rocks. Why is it that those rocks look weird to me? And I really want to get that out of the way. So I'm going to have this go all the way off the edge. He says, as he creates weird looking rocks. But that's okay. I think hopefully they get a little less weird. But it's leading in from the corner in a way, but not out of that corner. So I've avoided that. This one here is just going to be a sweep of some white water lap in the shore, so that will be fun. Oh, I'm going to enjoy that. That's good. Yep. Wave building there, light cutting across the face, explosion of sea spray. I think we have a composition, folks. I think so. Time will tell if that's going to work. I'm thinking about my shape. So far, I'm digging it. Could be a little problematic, but hey, maybe another shape there. There we go. That could work. Yeah, let's play. Right on, Lynn. Thank you. Appreciate it. From Jim, what do you think about the wet toothbrush flick method for sea spray? I don't like that anymore. And the reason why is because I think it, if you're using lead and cobalt and cadmium, I think you're in a very uncontrolled way. You are putting a fine mist into the air in your studio. You are exposing your skin to fine particles of lead, and I wouldn't do it. I think it's potentially a hazard. I would put in the effort and do it with a dry brush technique, and then individually bring out with a double zero-pointed round droplets. And well, that would take ages. Yeah, do it. Do it. I think it's worth taking a little longer just to keep it safe in the studio. Okay, let's go ahead and block in some color. And now, because it's a studio painting, I'm going to start with whatever's furthest away first, and I'm going to work my way forward. Now, for a block-in, for a session like what we have here in front of us, it's a pretty large painting. I'll give you that. Pretty bloomin' large. So what we want to do is we want to start with whatever's furthest away and work our way forward, okay? But with the size of this, I want to cover ground quickly. Here's my brushes that I'm going to be using for this demonstration. I have some Tish daggers. These are both 1/2 inch. So in terms of the size of the panel, this is kind of my sweet spot in a way. I've got a number 6 filbert. I got a number 6 flat, both rosemary and coat, all bristles. I was just sketching up my composition then, by the way. I didn't mention the brush, but it's a number 4 evergreen filbert. And that tends to give me a really nice line. I love that for the line work that I'm able to get. All right. I got something here from Colin. I see so many seascapes where the waves just look wrong. How can we ensure we're getting the shape of the wave realistic? Well, Colin, I agree with you. I see a lot that look wrong, and bless their cotton socks, a lot of artists are trying to get it to look right, and occasionally I'll paint my waves and they won't turn out exactly the way I envision, but I think this is a really, this comes down to an issue of really paying attention and studying your subject. So let's go ahead and get a little bit of Krimnitz white in here, a little bit of titanium white, a little bit of ultramarine blue. And what I want to do is I want to start off with the sky. Look, notice that beautiful dusty color that's coming through that sky. Isn't that something? Now that nickel yellow deep, oh my goodness, that is a beautiful color. But something's happened here. Something's happened. I've gone and added yellow to my blue sky, and now I've got green. Now last week we talked about this. If you got green problems, you need red solutions. Why? Complementary opposite. Bring in the complementary opposite to knock this down. And what I'm going for is a warm gray in that sky. And I'm seeing a warm gray. Are you recording? Yes, I am. Thank you very much there, Tamara. Appreciate you. Yes, I am. Give me another camera check in about 10 minutes, but I'm recording. I'm getting it all down. So titanium white, I mixed up a few funny colors there. I used a little bit of ultramarine blue. I used a little bit of cobalt teal. I got into that, a little bit of that nickel yellow deep. And then when it went green, I used the quinacridone magenta to pull it back into balance. Now, we want to think about our subject here. What was that focal point? Our focal point was that wave and that explosion, right? Already I'm out of Krimnitz white. Fancy that. If our focal point is the wave and the explosion, that energy, and I want that to be tonally dominant, I want it to be visually dominant, then I need to hold back with everything else. So don't be in a rush to get your this brightness to come out of the sky. We're looking at the sky, and the sky is really bright, but it has to subordinate to what needs to be a higher value or a lighter value. Remember, our bandwidth, our range within the painting is very limited. The brightest I can go is titanium white. The darkest I can go is the dark black that I can mix. I'm going to have to get out more paint before we go forward. Kathy's in the house. Welcome, Kathy. Brent's in the house. Awesome. Brent, is that you from Virginia, Brent? Is that my dentist friend? If so, welcome, brother. If not, hey, welcome. All the same. Where's Brent from Virginia? All right, so hopefully that makes sense, Colin, in terms of you know, people getting the wrong looking wave. I mean, hey, we're trying. But I'd recommend really studying it. I'd recommend watching waves for a long while, getting great reference, like lots and lots of reference. And I think that would really help. And the more I paint waves, the better and closer I get to it, I think. Ah, yes it is. Awesome. Awesome. Good to see you, Brent. Brent went from my tour that we were doing, plein air, straight away to do Will Patino's tour. How good is that? I tell you what, if you're gonna come down under and you're gonna be painting down here, you might as well be photographing as well. How was the trip with Will Patino? How was that tour? Was it awesome? All right. Back to it. Okay. So I've gone and I've used a lot of paint already. And there are three things that let's say I actually have upped this now to 4 things I'm trying to balance when I'm trying to create some nice looking brushwork. If you want to create brushwork and if you want to create looseness in your brushwork, and I dare I say, I'm getting closer and closer and closer to this. Number 1, size of the brush. I'm using a relatively big brush for this. We're not going to use much in the way of a detail brush. So number 1, size of the brush. Number 2, volume of paint. And number 3, viscosity of paint, how thick or thin that paint is. And number 4, how often you reload that brush. So your brush loading. The thing is that a lot of us are using brushes that are too small, too little paint, and we're pushing it too far by not reloading that brush. And I see this continually. And so often you get these scrubby looking paintings that are a little bit flat without much in the way of texture, flow, and economy of stroke that you look at and you go, wow, that really is painterly. So here's the thing. We came up with a little saying on this trip. Swish, 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 roll, load, or pick up. Swish, 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 roll the paint off the brush and pick it up. So I've loaded the edge of this bristle dagger, and I'm actually able to, 3 or 4 strokes, cover a relatively large area. Y'all see how that works? I'm going to use a little bit of cadmium red and actually see if I can achieve the warmth. Ah, boom. That's a nice warm gray. The sky that I'm seeing, it feels a lot like a warm gray to me. And I'm actually now starting to deposit some actual friggin' paint, dude. Yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about. Second time, went for details, went wrong. Okay, what's the first part of that question, Alex? I tried 2 times to paint a wave. The first time, I just went for it without thinking about it. Lots of mistakes, but ended up good for awesome, dude. Yeah, sometimes you just got to shoot from the hip. Sometimes you just got to just go, screw it, let's go. And I do that a lot. And sometimes you find that it really works. And sometimes it really doesn't. Awesome. And so epic, man. He's a super cool dude. Yeah, Will Patino is so chill. If he was any more chill, we'd have to check him for pulse. He's a chill dude, but really good at what he does. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I enjoy Will Patino's company immensely. I need to hang out with that guy more. So I need to mix up now a gray, ultramarine blue, quinacridone magenta, white, a little bit of burnt umber in there, of course, just for a little bit of this sky color. Roll the paint off the brush, roll the paint off the brush, pick it up, swish, 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 roll, pick up. Why am I rolling? Why do I roll? I mean, if you have a look here at the action, it's not this. I'm not just doing this. It's just flexing those brushes back and forth. And when you roll it and pick it up again, it works. All right. Morning, Orly. Okay, so we got a little bit of a subdued gray here. I'm going to feather in. I've left a little gap there. Feather in a few of these clouds. I like breaking up the sky, you see, with a few of these clouds. Please close the door. Could you please close the door? Thank you. There we go. I like this bank of clouds, so we'll go ahead and bring that through. Now, you might be wondering as well, hey, why, and my newbies, if this is even your second live stream, why the heck are you using that color to sketch up your composition? Why not use a pencil? Well, again, the burnt umber, and I like this color for a reason. Burnt umber quinacridone magenta, not transparent red oxide quinacridone magenta, not burnt umber transparent red oxide, not burnt umber, sometimes I'll use permanent crimson, but not burnt umber cad, no. Quinacridone magenta, because the quinacridone is nice and transparent. It will immediately hit a cloud color, and guess what? I have some of that cloud color, that burnt umber and quinacridone in this color that I'm applying right now. It's in there currently. So if you have a color like that, it's going to coordinate so well with your other colors. And it's going to go ahead and blend in and go away. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna get rid of this palette shot. I'm going to go over here to this shot and see if we can get this a little bit, there we go, a little bit bigger for you. Are you recording? Yeah, it's still recording, 35 minutes and counting. So thank you. Thank you, Tamara. So we got a little bit of information here in the sky, just a touch. I'm going to lighten up some of these areas. I want the sky for now to kind of go away, but we've got a little bit of a bank of cloud coming through. And we might do something interesting with this, this wave here across the front. I'm going to feather through some of that texture, tamp some of that down. We do want some brush texture, but not so much that it's going to be distracting. And it's very soft, kind of subdued sky that I was going for there. Now, if I want to change gears with the color, this is why I have the paper towels here. So I'm just going to wipe that off. And I'm consciously looking for feedback on that paper towel. When I wipe that off, now I've got that. That's heavily loaded with paint, but I've got a clean brush ready to go. No time was I dabbing on the surface of the paper towel. And I've seen people painting their own hand, not even looking, just going, and it's like, how did you get paint on your face? Well, because it's on your hand, and you have an itch, and then you go and scratch. I know. I was, talk about triggered. So I think day one of tour one, I was like, wow. We're painting faces. So here's a little bit of cloud, a little bit of a highlight. Just going to add a couple of little marks here and there just to give a bit of relief to that sky. We'll come back and maybe add a few details a bit later on, but I really, for the most part, want that sky to go away. And again, a lot of this could come out in the second color, in the second layer of color, I should say. A couple of warmer notes here, and towards that horizon right there, down here, I'll lighten that with a little more nickel yellow and a little more white. There we go. All right, we'll leave it there. Rowan says he's finding himself not using enough paint sometimes. Yep, magic happens in those areas, partially mixed, or even areas that might be too thick, and I move around. Yeah, awesome. Hello, Lee, how are you? I just discovered linen. About time, Dan Beresford. It's awesome, isn't it? It's a game changer when you paint on linen. It's like driving a Porsche versus a Hyundai. I will never paint on canvas again. And just my paint goes so much further. Yeah, awesome. Battery and recording. So still going? Yep, still recording. Thank you very much. Yep, we'll keep it going. We'll keep it going. So next, as I come forward, now we're going to have a bit of a horizon line. And the horizon is relatively sharp, so it's dangerous. There's a few things that I do with my horizons. I'm going to experiment a little bit with the color here. And what I'm going to do is get into a little bit of chromium green oxide, a little bit of ultramarine blue, a little bit of cobalt blue, a little bit of quinacridone magenta. I know, weird. Why did I use that chromium green oxide? I'm just thinking, is there another use for that chromium green? Generally, I wouldn't have used it here, but it's also a very grayed out blue. Cobalt blue, ultramarine blue. Let's just try and find the balance. A little bit more quinacridone, very grayed out blue. Let me make just a couple of marks here, relatively thinly. We'll start to cut that horizon line. Dare I say, I think we could go a little bit lighter and a little bit grayer. And then across here, cut that line with that dagger. So Quentin had a question earlier on about straight lines. So Quentin, the way I would define straight lines whilst maintaining something that looks relatively painterly is I think about shape, and the line is actually communicated by the boundary of the shape. So one way that you could do it is, let's say this ocean here is a shape that is going to be cutting in, and I'm working the boundary of this wet shape, working wet into wet, and I push that boundary up to meet now the sky. And as that boundary starts to approach, right, that line gets more and more defined across there. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm actually using the shape and the wetness of that paint to start to define a relatively sharp edge. But even then, I'm actually feathering the edge and breaking it in a couple of ways, so it's not dead sharp. And we also don't need, it's not completely sharp. We don't need tape or a ruler or anything like that. So have a look. 1 second. All right, I can paint a horizontal line better than a vertical line, so I just tilt the canvas when I need to paint a vertical line. There you go. Hey, well, that will work. G'day, Mark. How are you? Okay, how did they all cope with the sandflies on the tour? Well, sometimes the wind, it just blew them off us. It wasn't too much of an issue. But they were okay. They were okay. They came out in force a couple of times, but we had arrow guard and various things. I mean, they are bastards, those little sandflies. I mean, I don't like them. So let's just say, though, Quentin, if you wanted to create a line now, guess what? If I've created a line working into a wet shape, I can then create another shape here and work into that one, and the difference between the two ends up creating that line between two shapes. So take my paper towel, for instance. Let's say I have my paper towel here. That's my underlying light tone. I then paint some darker tone over it, and then I bring in another shape and paint some darker tone over that, and now the gap between the two ends up becoming my line. So you'll see me do this quite a bit if I've got to create something with an edge. Right. Sandflies became my mortal enemies, says Brent. Yeah, well, you know about it now. Will Patino probably took you to Fjordland. So, hey, man, it happens. Okay, next. Let's start working on this wave. I'm digging it so far. I'm vibing it so far. Even if you're not, I'm cool. Are you cool? Are we cool? All right, so let's go ahead and I'm seeing in the shadow. Let's attack that shadow first of our wave, and let me go ahead and get my ZV back on the screen. We'll go back to the wide angle, and what I really like in this painting is there seems to be a violet quality to that wave in the shadow. I can already feel Celestine and Carolyn saying, oh, don't get me bloody started on violet, mate. Come on. I know. People have had a gut full of violet after this tour. But I'm even seeing it in the wave. And this is very similar color to the way we were painting some of those distant mountains. So it's quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue. I've used a touch of cobalt blue in there. And I've lifted out the tone, lifted the value with a bit of white. There was still some underlying burnt umber and residual burnt umber and ultramarine blue and everything there. It was still there. So it's not a very saturated violet, but it's just kind of grayed out. But I'm just going to start by brushing some of that in. And I'm going to push around that wet paint, as Lori and Rowan were talking about, just pushing it around. I love the warmth of some of these violets. So we're going to get a bit of quinacridone magenta here. We're going to get a bit of Naples yellow. Warm up that violet a little bit. Push it into a warmer gray. And right here where we have that explosion of sea spray, let's go ahead and work in a little bit of that darker color. Now it's just a start. I'm just getting a little bit of color down. It's just a start, but we want to add to this. We don't have any light in here yet. It's just a little bit of darker tone, just getting a little bit of color down, a little bit of information there. Can we see the palette, please? I think you've got it now, Robin. Can you confirm that you got the palette? All right. Thank you, Nikki. Nikki's confirmed. She can see it. Okay, all good. All good. All right. I might go ahead and get a second dagger on the go, and I'll use this one for my lights. Nice, clean, new brush. Just get a bit of light in there. I'll go ahead and get into that nickel yellow one more time. I'm actually really enjoying the combination of nickel yellow and a little bit of that cadmium red light. That's a really nice, warm, bright color, and tonally pretty light. So right here, working across this sky, Yes, I'm going to be blurring out just a little bit of what we had achieved before, but that's okay. Let's get into this splash a little bit here. What I love about this splash is it forms this real big three-dimensional volume that catches the light. We go all the way off the top with some of that. It's going to be ambiguous to begin with. That's okay. We can tighten it up as we find our way, feeling our way across this surface. We just want to start with something that's going to give us an indication, an impression. Right. Now the light's really interesting because we don't have a direct light, we don't have a backlight, we have a light that's shining across the surface of that wave. So I got to think here about how the light's interacting with the wave on a whole and what it's actually doing in this space, because some of that wave's going to be in shadow. So it's an interesting light angle. Let's see if we can pull it off here. Over on this side, I'm seeing a bit of that bottle green starting to come through. Let's mix a little bit of that now. Let's go ultramarine blue, a little bit of cobalt blue, a little bit of cobalt teal, I should say, a little bit of cobalt blue. I'm going to get into a bit of phthalo green. Dangerous. Just a little bit of it will do. Burnt umber, liquid original, a little bit of white, Creminence white, a little bit of nickel yellow, and it's pretty light, but in terms of the tone so far, it's actually relatively dark compared to some of those other greens that I was adding before. So I would consider this more or less a middle value for some of that glow showing through the wave that is showing up in a couple of places. So this one isn't going to be your standard glow and wave painting that I've done in the past. It's going to be a little bit different. So let's think. What's our next move here? Ultramarine blue, cobalt blue. I'm thinking about some of the warmer tones that are just below. Maybe reflecting a little bit of that sky. And let's start getting the nature of this wave. Anytime you get a little bristle or a hair, it'll happen. They'll fall out of the brush every now and again. Just make sure you pick them up. You don't want that drying to the surface. And so as I go, I'm trying not to make any more than about 3 or 4 brush strokes per load of paint. Notice, one of these days, what we're going to do is we're going to set a timer, and it's going to show how often I'm on the palette and how often I'm on the painting. I guarantee I'm spending more time in my palette than I do on my painting. Most of the time is spent mixing. Mix, 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 mix. Deposit. Mix, 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 mix. Deposit. Mix, 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 mix. Deposit. So it's a lot of back and forth here on the palette. So this is where the painting's happening, over here on the palette. Does anybody appreciate the flannel that I'm wearing today? Isn't it like a seascape? It's got that crashing wave color. All right. Dana says, I see an almost identical scene at the bottom of my street, but much colder water. Where are you based, Dana? That sounds cool. Very blessed to live close to the ocean. I do miss the ocean. I'm closer to rolling farmland and countryside, which is beautiful as well. It definitely has its moments. I'm going to deposit a little bit of darker blue here. Yep, still going there tomorrow. Thank you. A little bit of darker blue, and we're going to work in some lighter color here in a second. Okay. Now, lighter color. Nickel yellow once again, cadmium red light once again. Oh, I love that combination. Bit of titanium white lifted out. Across the top of this wave, we're going to feather out just a little bit of spray, just a touch. And again, I want the wave on that side to go away. It's just a little bit of a building quality back there. There's no rock for it to have smashed itself against. A little bit of light and shade across that foam. So far, we're getting color down, and it might seem very haphazard and chaotic, but my initial SketchUp gave me the very clear zones and very clear outline to some of these shapes. We'll start dialing it in, but at no time in this initial process am I thinking about detail. All right? Detail has to be earned. We are working our way towards that. Yes, I'm excited about it. Yes, it's part of my plan. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. One thing I love about waves, and here it's an interesting light angle, but the thing I love is when the wave curls up and it reveals its true nature, the color of that water. In this sort of situation where the light's shining across that wave, though, we can't see that glow, so it's just a very subtle effect here. So this one's going to be a little more subdued. The special bit about this painting is the relationship of rock and splash. So I'm going to really play up that as a subject and not the glowing wave on this one. And we're coming up nearly, I can't believe how fast these live streams go, but we're coming up nearly at the halfway point in this live stream. Number 90. Live stream 90. Far out. You guys have sat through a few live streams, haven't you? Some of my OGs here have seen nearly every single bloomin' one. These live streams have been going since our Patreon days. And it's so good to be back with you weekly. We are going to start here very soon, some of these weeks during the months to come. We're going to be doing 2 live streams a week. Next week we got 2, but we're doing a public one, and then we're doing an Academy exclusive the very next day. Make sure you tune in for that. Again, if you missed the start of this, next week we've got a very special giveaway. The giveaway that we have is a painting. I'm giving away a painting. Now, just one second while I say a quick thing to my team. TY, I want you to get that, that random comment selector up and running. And I want you to get the, you're live, by the way, both of you. So what I want you to get is the link from this live stream, chuck it in the random selector, right? And at the end of this live stream, we're going to pull out a winner for the t-shirt today. Okay. Got it? Yeah. Cool. Jim, can you get TY the link, please? Okay, cool. Excellent. And so, guys, today, and you in the comment section, all right, I want you to let me know towards the end, hey, t-shirt giveaway, because I'll keep painting and I'll bloody forget. I'll tell you what, I will forget. So don't let me forget. We're going to give away a cool t-shirt. Tisch Academy exclusive merch is dropping today. And I'm going to send out, and I tell you what, I will not wash my shirt before I send it to you. Ask Joe. Tish will give you the shirt off his back. So the way we're doing it is we've got a random comment selector. It's an app, so I can't even be biased. I can't play favorites here. I have no favorites. So I'm working in here with this color that you've seen me mix so far, okay? So a little bit of ultramarine blue, cobalt blues in there, a little bit of cobalt teal. But again, if you're looking for a recipe for the color, okay, don't. There is no recipe for this. Learn your way around this palette. If you haven't taken the Fundamentals of Oil Painting course yet, take that course. It's here on the Academy. I break down, for the most part, it's exactly this palette. But we'll continue to work with this, and we're going to be adding to a Seascape library here very shortly because I've got so many requests come through for the Seascapes. So I'm like, okay, I hear you. Let's do some Seascapes. So when you're trying to find these mixes, it's not about 1 part ultramarine, half a part cobalt blue, 2 parts cobalt teal, 3 parts titanium white. That ain't it, right? This is not paint by numbers. So you've got to feel your way around and learn the consequences of your mixes. What do I mean? Okay, let's go back to it now. Let's mix up this bottle green again. Now let's say I need to have, this is why my palette shot's so bloomin' dark, because this is a battery operated light. And I just realized it's not even bloomin' plugged in. Give me a second. Give me a second. What happens if I do this? Hey, that's better. Struth. Now I can see the dang thing. All right, let's go over to this, and let's just tone this thing. Let's just calm down. Where's my ISO? Okay, no, we're going to go over here to this one, and we're going to turn down the brightness. Okay. Oh, I can see it. I can see it. It'll probably smell like, yeah, coffee and butter and BO balsam. That's what, yep, yep. I'd prefer a washed one, actually, says Jens. I know. Don't. I'm sending you a brand new one. Don't freak out, okay? Don't get it twisted. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, go on. Let him know in the chat. Yep, pretty bad. He smells pretty bad. He doesn't. I wash. It's all good. It's just that I wash with Gamsol. All right. So, let's mix this color again. That's what I was trying to do. Ultramarine blue. The consequence of adding ultramarine blue is that tonally it starts to get very dark, but it introduces a nice blue quality. It all depends on what you want to go for. Then I try to lift the tone out with a little bit of titanium white, which is very opaque, and it lifts the value quickly. So then I opt for a little bit of Cremnitz white, which is transparent, and it will approach this in a more delicate manner. To achieve that green note, I use a greeny blue like cobalt teal, and to get even more green, I then opt for a little bit of nickel yellow. And now I've got a nice subdued bluey, greeny color. It's just a base. That's all it is just a base. And when I'm blocking in, I'm thinking about this green quality of the water, bringing it through, and creating the structure of this wave, working into and around some of the gaps in this violet color that we had achieved earlier, which is now starting to appear like the shadow of our sea spray. So this is our sea spray, our sea foam in the absence of direct sunlight. Now, a little bit more Cremnitz white, a little bit of that nickel yellow. Well, let's go for a lighter color here. Let's pull up a little bit of reference material here. And what have we got? I really do. This wave is very, like, really is quite nice. So in a couple of these spots, I might bring out just a little more of a glow, but as I said, it's going to be subtle. It's going to be subtle. Let's get back into the dark. I wiped off my brush. I've got a little bit of phthalo green, just a touch, just a sneaky little bit on the tips of those bristle daggers, and you can see immediately the consequence of that phthalo green. It's saturated. It knocks around your colors. So just temper it a little bit with some more ultramarine blue and a little bit of cobalt blue. Lift out that tone with a bit of Cremnitz white and a bit of titanium white and a little bit more cobalt teal. I went too heavy with the white. I need to reintroduce some blue. So I'm just feeling, and I'm going, what's the consequence of that move that I just made? Where am I going with this? And it's just adjust, adjust, adjust. Eventually, you do learn your way around this palette. And it starts to make sense. So, a little bit of chromium green oxide, a little bit of phthalo green. Ah, that's a nice saturated color. Oh, goodness me. Love it. Let's work in. Not too many strokes, not too dry. Painter's got to paint, so use some friggin' paint, dude. I want to desaturate, and so I've added a touch of umber to gray this out and darken this down a little bit as I approach the backside of that rock and down in here. And maybe, just maybe, where was that wave I was looking at? I've lost my little bit of reference. Everybody knows I'm hopeless without my photo, but maybe a little bit of this darker tone. Around that wave could help. A little bit ambiguous there. Not a fan, but we'll work on it. We will work on it. All right. Note, Andrew, it looks easy when you do it. Somehow it's different when I try to paint seascapes. Well, again, it's a process. Danielle, one thing that's really important, all right? Don't hold on to this thing too tight. You see how loose I'm going here? I'm not, in this session, I want to talk to you about painting. We want to let go. We just want to throw the stuff up here on the canvas. So just let go of it. Stop holding on to this thing so tight, all right? Start off with what you love. Focus on that focal point. Plan your composition around it. And so hopefully it'll have that desired effect where it'll draw attention in, but start small, right? This is very small. I'm considering this a study because this year, I tell you what, dude, I want to do some friggin' monster seascapes. I really want to do some monster seascapes. So I'm looking forward to developing these ideas into something much larger, much more significant. And so we're going to need some studies. So maybe just don't go right for the big thing if that's what you're doing. Maybe you are doing studies, and if you are, that's great. But don't go right for the big kill just yet. Just do a few small studies and go, you know what? Okay, after about 5 or 6, that one's working. Execute. Let's push it a little bit further. This is exactly what I'm doing. I've got a lot of boards prepped that are exactly this size. And I'm going to do about 5 or 6 of this size study before I do the big 2-meter, 3-meter jobby that's going to be a massive, massive seascape. So, and I'm telling you, man, I want to go for the 3-meter kill, you know. But it's going to take some development. It's going to take some design development before I can do that. So that's what this is all about. Okay, and again, it's not a race. It's not a race. We're all doing it in our own time, and just. All you got to do is just think about those small wins and just start here, start slow, and just try and focus on one thing. Say, okay, well, today what I'm going to work on is I'm going to work on my volume of paint that I'm using. I'm just going to try and get out more paint and just see if I can get comfortable using more volume. And it's like, okay, now I'm going to use a bigger brush. All right, cool. You start juggling just one thing at a time as you can. Patience is the hardest thing for me to learn. And this is, me too. Hey, me too, Robin. I mean, you're so right. But the thing is that the more you do it and the more you stick with it, the more that patience grows. I was so impatient when I first started this thing. I wanted to be, boom, there. And now I've learned to embrace the process, knowing that this is going to take some time. And so you go through it. Go through it. Get those brush miles. Start acquiring those brush miles. So, speaking of patience, when I was a child, my parents used to read a story to me, a book. I can't remember who it's by, but you could go Google this. It's called Nungapunga and the Booch. And these were a couple of characters that I'm sure they lived on the coast of Africa somewhere. I think that was the overall theme, that they lived on the coast somewhere. But there will always be these morals and stories and like a point to each of these tales. And one of them that I just have with me, and I remember since being a child, Google me, fact check me on this. I can't remember the exact wording, but it's something like, you must start before you can finish. You must start before you can finish. So get busy starting. Get stuck in, as I like to say. Reset all the clocks. I got to reset the camera, and I've just a little bit over the halfway point. I tell you what, my coffee cup is empty, and I need to do something about it. I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break, 5 minutes, and in that 5 minutes, I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee, and I'll be right back with you. Who's having fun so far? Who's learning something so far? So far, I'm enjoying it. It's a little ambiguous in terms of the light, but I think this foreground is really going to show the quality of that light dynamic. And I want to talk to you about complementary opposites, violet and gold. Let's do it in the second half of this live stream. Well, I'm enjoying your company, even if you're not enjoying mine. So there you go. I'll turn off my camera there. Remind me to start that sucker up again when we come back. And I'll be with you again in 5 minutes. Start the clock. I'm back. Can you hear me? Let me know if I've got the mic set up correctly and you can hear me. All right. All right. Frank Monty says, I really love this. Awesome. Thank you, Frank. Learning to use lots of paint and believing in multiple passes. I'm not a patient guy, but I'm trying. Awesome, dude. Please start your camera. Yeah, thank you. Oh, far. Okay, see, this is why I need you, Tamara. I need you in my life. Here we go. Let's get this focused. Here we go. Boom. And we'll get this time lapse underway for the gram. Now, something I said a bunch on the tour, and this is so true, right? Anytime we have an opportunity to use opposites, and think about all the different kinds of opposites that you can use in painting, but anytime you have an opportunity to use those opposites, you create a much more dynamic painting. Okay, what am I talking about? Well, the first opposite that comes to mind, right, is light versus dark. Contrast, tonal contrast, contrast of value. I like the word tone, so when we're talking about the hierarchy of visual elements in our first order of considerations, when we're talking about any two-dimensional representational art, what have we got? Line and shape, tone, color, edge. Those are your first four considerations. Very important that we own that stuff. And in that order, too, by the way, the order is essential. Okay, so with our tone, that's an easy way to think about an opposite, right? Each one of those four, though, actually represents an opportunity to create another opposite dynamic. So a something versus something else. It creates a more dynamic painting. We're going to be using those opposites here in this painting to full effect. Let's go through them, starting with line and shape. All right. Let's look at just shape. Big, medium, small. There's some differences in shapes going on here. Shapes with hard edges, shapes with soft edges. Okay? What about tone? We're going to have some very dark stuff going on here with this rock compared to some very sharp, brilliant, glowing highlights. So that's something else I'm really excited about. Okay, what about color? Well, when we're thinking about opposites in color, this is something that I'm really excited about because anytime you have an opposite color relationship here, and when we think about complementary, oh man, I love this stuff. I could eat this up all day. So give me an opposite. Give me some opposite relationships. I'm going to mix some color. Come on, you give me something to work with here. Come on, let's go. I'm going to get out a flat bristle brush because I'm thinking that that's going to give me some nice looking marks. And I'm going to get out a little bit of a darker tone. Burnt umber, ultramarine blue, mix in with a little bit of Cremnitz white and titanium white. Let's get some volume here. I'm going to use a little bit of liquid impasto. Impasto has the same constituents as that liquid original. No more than 1 part medium to 3 parts paint. It's going to dry, touch dry pretty much within a couple of days. Pretty much film dry overnight, but a good thorough touch dry after a couple of days. This makes it so nice to layer. And I'm going to go for a warm, subdued violet color for my shadows. It's very similar to our color that we had over there in the wave. And there's two different qualities of shadow here in the whitewater. There's a really saturated, high-key violet lilac color. So to achieve that, we want more ultramarine blue, more cobalt blue, more quinacridone magenta. Lift out that tone with a little bit of white. When I say high key, within reason, a beautiful violet is that between cobalt teal and quinacridone magenta. Oh, I think we have it right there. A little bit of ultramarine blue, a little bit of ultramarine blue, a little bit of cobalt teal. Swish, 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 roll and pick up. There we go. So, give me those opposites. Okay. Blue and orange, purple and yellow, red, green. So there you go, just like that. Bam, bam, bam. Nikki, Robin, Jens. You guys are awesome. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So when we look at our color wheel, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, the opposite, I really need a graphic to put in here, right? We're gonna start getting some graphics. And what I want to work on is a printout. Just one A4 page, you print that out, it's going to have most of this stuff on that. How's that sound? Staple it to your easel. But those complementary opposite relationships, I tell you what, man, this will help you create a little bit more of a dynamic painting. So right here in the foreground, I want to get in some of this violet color. What's the opposite of violet? Well, it's going to be yellow. So I've got a deep violet color here for some of my shadows. And the opposite of that, that yellow, I want to have a nice gold quality to some of those highlights. So there's going to be a contrast of tone, but there's also a contrast of the color. Now, edge. A seascape is a wonderful opportunity to have contrast of edge, speaking of contrast, because some edges are going to be nice and soft, and some are going to be sharp and hard. And so as you get these opposites in your edge quality, it draws the eye. It creates something dynamic. It creates something interesting. Oh man, I don't know about you, but like this for me just makes painting fun and alive. So I do have an overarching goal for my teaching I want to share with you here. And this is my goal for my own learning journey, which I'm very much still on. I don't believe an artist ever truly arrives at the destination, at having this thing figured out and whipped. So here's what I'm trying to do for you. I want to get the painting out of the way, the painting technique, all of this stuff out of the way. And the reason it seems so repetitive is that these are almost universal laws when it comes to representational traditional art in oil painting. These are universal laws. And a lot of them mimic and kind of parallel the laws of nature. So let's get this out of the way so that your idea, your vision, your dream of what you want to be painting starts to come through. That's what I'm aiming for. So you'll find yourself at the easel going, oh, complementary opposites. Okay, cool. Oh, line and shape, exuding vectors. Oh, too much information, aberration, all this stuff. You're going to start repeating this stuff. Oh, okay, and creating that light. Oh, I'm going to save my tonal best for. Yeah, you got it. See? You've already got some of these things coming through. I know you do. Now on that, it's not that what I've come up with is original. It's not. This is all just standing on the shoulders of these old masters, and all I've tried to do is just really try and learn what it was that I was seeing, because there was a consistent quality and a beauty and a majesty to these paintings by the old masters. I'm like, good night. How do you do that? I wish Rembrandt put out a tutorial, man. I wish Bierstadt did a landscape painting workshop. Can you imagine what it'd be like to do that plein air tour with Bierstadt or Thomas Moran? Good fun. Brown and rocks for orange next to blue waves. Add yellow to complement the purple. Linda K., you are onto it. Exactly right. Exactly right. Exactly right. I recently ordered an old book on William Trust Richards. Dude, Jim. Fantastic, man. Well done, you. He's one of the greats. William Trust Richards. Go ahead and select that name in Jim Meeker's comment just there. Google that. Open a new tab and Google that. Yeah, there's so many exciting things to learn, Tawana. Absolutely. Who needs them when we have you? Ha! Well, Robin, you put a lot of trust in me, and I appreciate that. But it is good. It is good to broaden those horizons and be aware of what those old masters did. So I'm going to add in here a little bit of this, and I'm seeing some cross-cutting parallel type wave action here. And I just want to get a really good feel with some of this. So I've got a gentle wave just lapping the shore. A lot of this will come out in the wash, so to speak. But I'm just thinking right now to myself, all right, as this wave comes in, what's the quality of those edges? It's pretty smooth whitewater in here. And I'm starting off with that shadow first, and let's work into it, the whitewater. All right. So William Trust Richards, American Landscape and Marine Painter. Landscape, did he do landscape as well? I know him for his seascapes. That's really cool. QQQ, just watched a documentary about Thomas Cole. Very cool. He sketched landscapes and made notes about what colors he saw. Would you ever consider and try and do that method? I heard about this, who was I talking to? It must have been Matt Smith. It had to be Matt Smith because it was a recent plein air conversation on the podcast. I'm sure it was Matt Smith, where he's talking about, I think it was T. Allen Lawson he was talking about, who would go out there, make a sketch, and then make a color chart based on that, and then that's what he would take back into the studio. I found that interesting. Would I consider doing that method? No. I think it's really fascinating. I might try it, but to me, it doesn't seem the way my brain would work. But, I mean, hey, never say never. I tell you what, I'm willing to give anything a shot. Now, saving my tonal best for last, I'm going to go for a mid-tone gray. I've got light cutting across here. I want to be working wet and wet. I've got some ambiguity. I've got the feeling of a little wave coming up here. I'm going to have a bit of a shoreline here. And so here with this color, as the sun glints across that white water, it actually shows up as this smooth, creamy, it almost looks like double thick cream in a way, just sitting on the surface, slightly whipped. Not about ready to form those peaks, folding over on itself. I tell you what it reminds me of, and this is random. Y'all seen Ghostbusters? Where the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man gets melted at the end? It reminds me of that foam. That's what this foreground reminds me of. I know it's random. But that's what it reminds me of, all right? Don't judge me. So a little bit of titanium white, a little bit of Kremnitz white. And so tonally, is it whitewater? Sure, but it's not white. I have this little rule with Seascapes that whitewater is not white. So the trick here is going to be preserving that tone to create those really bright highlights towards the end of the process. We really need some volume though. We don't want to get it too thin. I'm using a little bit of nickel yellow in with my highlight color and a little bit of this cad red. Those two together, cad red and that nickel yellow, form a really nice warm gray, particularly with that white, as I get some of that volume in there. That's kind of the relationship I'm looking for. That's right, Nikki. Robin says she gets it. She's a pastry chef. Loving the color, says Deborah. Question from Lynn. Will you be darkening your sky later so your cresting wave will show up more? Actually, potentially, and really great. There's no reason to retract that, Robin. I love it. It's awesome. But great question, Lynn. Will you be darkening your sky? So if we want to get something to look really light, we need to have it next to something dark. Again, going back to those opposites and that contrast, right? So top marks. I think you're thinking exactly on the right lines. However, I do have a lot of room up my sleeve. The only reason it looks really bright at the moment is because of context, because I've held back this whole time, but I have somewhere to go with this. Any chance Nigel from the Vatican podcast coming soon, or plans changed? Yeah, you'll have to remind me that maybe via DM, Piotr. Yeah. I'm gonna be putting probably not a podcast. I was hoping to do a video, but I've gotten really caught up with things here, brother. But yeah, I'm still open to it. What is the brand of nickel yellow? So everything is Blue Ridge that I'm using. Everything here is Blue Ridge there, Linda. All right. Yeah, look, I'm not saying don't make notes about colors, James. Absolutely, make notes about colors. Maybe I misread the comment, but the thing is that using a color chart at the exclusion of everything else, to me is like, wow. I mean, it's really interesting. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying my brain don't work like that. In fact, my brain barely works at all. So there you go. Cadmium red light and nickel yellow. Oh, goodness. What a match. What a match. So I'm not quite getting a sense of the direction of the light yet. We need to add a few more accents for that to come about. But I've mixed in here a little bit of this lighter color. And I'm working up to the edge on some of this stuff. So now that you've seen the color, let's go ahead and go to the close cam and see if we can see this in a little more detail. Now, Jim Fairburn, is the reference material up on the live stream?
No.
Yeah, can we get that up immediately so people can download it, please? And we're gonna get this up, and I'm gonna get confirmation to you when that reference appears. But I'm gonna get it out of the way while we paint this foreground here. And I'm gonna move, seeing as we're not doing the sky at the moment, I'm gonna get me out the way. So I'm gonna come up here, and I'll be hanging out here. There we go. And we'll go ahead and work in the foreground. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Lori, we all have different, different wiring, right? Whoever was wiring my brain was like, I don't know, let's just plug this thing in here, see what happens. No, abort. All right, let's get out there a little bit of a filbert. Am I getting in the camera's way? I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna try and get my head out the way, okay? Lori, you're too kind. Thank you. Can I highlight that as a testimonial and put that on the website? You're so sweet. So with the edge of a flat, you can get these really nice direct marks. It'll do something slightly different than a dagger. But I'm reloading, I'm not expecting that brush to go too far. And I'm also thinking about my edge quality as well. Did you guys hear that? They're emptying the big dumpster next door, and it's particularly loud. All right. Now, pretty subdued and gray. Everything seems pretty cool, doesn't it? Started using ultramarine blue and cobalt teal. They're both adding depth and realism to my paintings. Well done, James. And by the way, the cloud painting as well that you sent, James, phenomenal. Phenomenal. And really nice texture in there, too. Now, again, if you're waiting to get a response from me on the DMs, just hang around. That'll be happening. Hopefully, I'll get through all of them today. Got another busy day here, but since getting back from tour, it's just been, as I catch up on things, it's been a pretty big to-do list. So I hope to be getting through most of that today. So I really appreciate your patience. I wrote back to James last night, and I'll be responding to hopefully most of those today. We'll see how far we can get. But I had a bunch sitting in there just waiting for me. Lots of critique requests. Critique videos have started again. I'm starting to do something now with my critiques, and I want to know if you're open for this. I'm actually starting to do Zoom calls with those critiques where I get your feedback live as we're talking. And when I say live, kind of in real time, I'm getting your feedback while I'm working on your painting before I do the big paint over. So it's a little bit of a tweak on the critique video. I just recorded one of these with Srinivas, and oh my goodness, it was so much fun. So if you're open to that, to being recorded in a Zoom call, and if you're going to allow us to use that on YouTube and use that on the Academy, because again, I guarantee the questions that you have, other people have. And when we can grow together in this way, it's awesome. And it just adds so much to our community that we're building here online. So if you feel like being in a video and you want to pitch and catch in a critique video via a Zoom call, then let me know. Hit me up through the direct messages. And that's the best way to go about it. We're looking at a critique list now, though, that I'll just give you a heads up. It's over a year deep now in terms of the critiques that I have just sitting there. So what I want to do is go, okay, well, look, let's jump on a Zoom call. And I'm going to start prioritizing some of the folks that want to be on Zoom so we can get that live interaction. Because as I can get your feedback as we're drawing on top of your painting and going over it, the questions that you have are going to be brilliant. They're going to direct me to make sure that we achieve what your vision was, what you set out to achieve. So I think it'll be a really great experience for everybody. Jen says, sounds really good. Awesome. No worries, Balsam. So hit me up in the comments if that's something you'd be open to, and we're on it. We're on it. So far I'm just working in here. I haven't. It's a little ambiguous, I know, with some of this little foreground curling wave, this little bit of light catch in this wave here. So I'm just gonna start working in a bit of this lighter mid-tone color. We've nearly got most of the thing covered, though, haven't we? We're pretty close. Now, as a start, pretty happy with this. Think it's got potential to make a bigger one. Let's see how far we can get in this session. Shari says she'd love a Zoom critique. Well, let's set it up, Shari. I'm not camera shy, says James Ito. Fantastic. That would be great, says Heidi. Love to see that, says Robin. Awesome. Oh, hey, Rayleigh's here. G'day, Rayleigh. Rayleigh, I'm missing you. I'm missing all my peeps on the from the art tour. Are you recording? Yes, I am, Tamara. Thank you. I know it's a little early for some of these. And by the way, we're going to start staggering the time so my Aussies can make it to the live streams as well. It's difficult. We can't obviously get a time that's going to work for everybody because the Earth being the shape it is, it's just difficult to find a time zone that's going to fit every single person. But I'm going to have to start doing some afternoon ones here in the studio. So my Aussies, especially poor Celestine and Carolyn over there on the west coast of Australia, it's still like 5 a.m. over there. So they're probably not waking up that early. Well, maybe they are. They're pretty dedicated painters, but you know what I mean. And then to get it to work for Europe too, it's just awkward. So we're going to stagger the times. But glad you're here, Rayleigh. Be careful what you tish for. I love it, Irene. Oh, dude. That's so cool. Hey, Jim, can you please write down in the merch chat on Slack, please? Be careful what you tish for.
Sure. Also, references are up.
References are up. References are up, folks. Camera's run out of battery. I'm just going to change battery. Make sure we're recording. Irene, that's going on a t-shirt. That's just so silly. I love it. Okay. Melissa's in the house. How you doing? Checking in from Queensland, says Mark Toomey. Welcome, Mark. Good to see you, brother. Jen says, I'm an introvert, so I don't like cameras. However, I also don't have any paintings yet to be critiqued. Would still do it because I see a lot of added value. No worries, Jens. Well, Jens, we did your Fisherman a while back. I think it's been over a year, hasn't it? In fact, Jens, haven't I done 2 on some of your paintings? I know I definitely did the Fisherman. Hope you enjoyed that one, mate. That was really good fun. I enjoyed that. Okay, I am recording. I can confirm I am recording. But I want a free t-shirt. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Jens, you got it. Yep. Oh, that's so silly. I am thinking about a hat, but I don't want to offend some of you, but I am thinking about a hat, but there's a lot of people here that I think would be like, no, I am never wearing that hat. And if I wore the hat, I might get some weird side eyes here in New Zealand, but we don't get political here on this show. We're here to paint, right? But the second tour, we're having a good old laugh because we're thinking about bringing out a Make Art Great Again hat. Who would wear that? I would wear it for a gag. I think it'd be fun. Making art great again. Simply the best. So, a little stripy. There you go, Lynn. Okay, we're on it. We're working. Please don't say balsam. Okay, I knew this would split people. Okay, I knew this would split people. All right, I'm not saying anything for or against. Okay, and honestly, if you like, you know me here. Okay. And ask the people on the tour, like, I'm no different. I'm probably a little bit kookier. Sorry, Rayleigh. Sorry. I got some stupid ideas, don't I, Rayleigh? Yes, I do. But the thing is, I'm really apolitical. I don't like anybody. So don't try and put me in a camp, okay? You're not going to do it. I am on team people. I love people, and that's it. So I'm not saying anything, okay? So again, if I've upset you today, just don't try and go, I'm a this or I'm a that. I'm not. I'm neither. I'm just I'm an idiot in New Zealand who likes to paint pictures. That's all you can put me down to, okay? But I thought it would be funny. Please don't, says Robin. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Too political starts becoming, yeah, fair enough. Corny, I know. Been practicing. We know it's a joke, lol. Yeah, there you go. Team art nerds. I like art nerd. We're working on art nerd design. Yeah, you got it, Daniel. Yeah. Dana, you got it. Let's go ahead and DM me, Dana. And you know how to do that through the Academy? So just go ahead and DM me, and you can reach me that way, and we'll set it up. I imagine we're going to have a few, but don't let that discourage you. Let's just give it a shot, and we'll see if we can line it up, okay? All right, I'm kind of enjoying the movement there, but one thing I'm desperate to do is add that light, but I haven't done it yet. It feels washed out. It feels a little bit, if I'm honest, a little bit insipid. But this is the thing. It's like you're going into the boxing match and you're punching with one hand behind your back, and so I haven't got that right hook ready yet, which is the brightest tone. Hold back with your tone if you want to create that sense of light. Before we do that, I want to address the rocks in this situation. So I'll leave the water there. I'm going to leave a few gaps in the brushwork because I think that's kind of cool. And there we go. But to be fair, oh, Scott, I forgot. Next week, I'm going to show you the coolest thing that Scott gave me. The coolest thing, Scott Holiday from Alaska. He gave me the coolest thing, dude. Day one of the tour. Oh, man. Scott, you made the friggin' trip, dude. It was awesome. But, you know, when we're talking about making art great again, okay, look, I am personally on a mission to really do everything in my power to create something that gives you that creative fulfillment. And I know there's a lot of teachers out there. There's a lot more jumping on online, but traditional realist art is valid. It's here to stay. And I am so sick of this modern stuff. And the reason I mentioned Scott, and I'm not gonna give away the painting. What he made me was so stinking cool. We're gonna put this on a shirt. But the thing that I'm trying to do is remove that authority and respect from the clutches of academia, and show that this is valid. This is perfectly valid and is art and should be taken seriously. You know, I'm so sick of the academic clique. Tired of it. Burnt umber, ultramarine blue. And that's why I'm doing it as a gag and a little bit of a joke, is that we're here to make art great again. That's it. Oh, I can just see the voiceover now. Just hear it now. A commercial for that house would be so good. All right, I'll spare you. The back rocks, the back rocks. Here we go. I'm just going to start off by just finding my feet with a couple of grays here in the foreground. I like the gravel. I really love the gravel. So that's cool. We'll get a little bit of that in there. There's a color, though, that I really enjoyed using, a combination, and I think you'll love this if you've got this on your palette currently. Front rocks look like the Loch Ness Monster. Oh, gosh. What are you guys on? Seriously. All right. You're seeing Loch Ness Monster. What, here? Is this like an open mouth thing of the Loch Ness Monster? Is that what you're saying? Big Mama Nessie in the back a little. Stop it. All right. Yeah. Now that you've said that, I'm gonna have to go. All right. I'm gonna have to get that thing out of there. There was a combination that I found on the trip that I just absolutely adored. And in fact, this as a shape, for the most part, it's going to be pretty dark here. So the combination is transparent red oxide and ultramarine blue. Really interesting. Now, if you lift that out with white, it's an interesting grayish color, depending on how much red oxide you put in and how much blue you put in. But as a shadow color without the use of white, oh, goodness, it was beautiful to block in and lock in your shadows. Laurie Woodward, am I right? You got to lock in that light dynamic early in the piece, right? Because your light's shifting so much painting plein air. Now, just a heads up, we are just now working on our dates for the art tours for late this year and early next year. This time round, we'll be running 3 art tours here in New Zealand. And the first people who are going to get first dibs on those tours are the ones who just joined us for those tours, just gone. So we're going to announce them very soon. You might be wondering, is it going to be the same tour over again? Nope, brand new locations. Same instructor, I apologize. But brand new locations. And slightly different itinerary and different accommodation now. We are definitely scaling up the accommodation. It was pretty nice, but we got some feedback and we're like, yep, cool. We're going to be stepping it up another notch. So it's going to go out to my the people that just joined us on those tours, and then I'm going to announce it to the academy, and then I'm going to put it to the email list. And I think that between that, it should be gone before we ever have to do any marketing. I was blown away by how quickly those things sold out. It was such a blessing to see that. I was like, wow. It was like one day from one email, and it was gone. So if that's something you want to do, hang tight. Details will be announced soon. I'm going to first announce it to the people who just joined us, then the academy, and then we're going to put it to the email list. But we've decided we're going to do 3 this next time around. So if you've ever really wanted to paint plein air in New Zealand with yours truly, then hey, this might be your chance. So Nikki says, damn, that's suddenly looking like a surging sea. Oh, phew. Whew. Or North America, says Desiree. There are North American plans right now happening. It will not be a plein air tour, though, in North America. It's going to be something else. I cannot announce what it is yet because I am sworn to secrecy. There's a couple of people that know about it, but I might have spoken too soon, and I'm not allowed to say what it is. But yeah, I'm going to be part of something pretty big next year. And so they've just secured me for next year to do this thing. So you'll probably see me in the US, but again, I won't be doing a plein air tour. I'll be doing something else. And then while I'm there, I'll be hitting up a few locations and doing some painting out and about. I might announce to my academy folks where I'm going to be, and you might just be able to catch me there, but I will let you know. I will let you know. So a little bit of wave action, just lapping that shore. Working here with a couple of little darker notes of violet, because I know that I've got some highlights of these rocks to put in here. So we're going to have a bit more contrast up there against those rocks. So add in a couple of darker notes. We're getting somewhere. So I wanted to knock in that foreground first, that tone's just a little bit too dark. And just kind of find my feet. Let's go ahead and work out this, this rock texture. And this just be a spine of rock catching some highlights and stuff. We can keep it ambiguous. Who knows about the US tour? How much do they want? Yeah, right, Len. So I'm not doing a tour in the US. I'm not doing a tour, but I will be in the US, most likely, God willing. Would love to go back to New Zealand. There must be so many great spots to paint. Absolutely, Charlotte. It would be mind-blowing. It was awesome. Do you ever come to Europe? Charlotte, that is on the cards too. That is on the cards too, Danielle. Can we get the palette shot again? Yes, you can. Let's go ahead and mix that up. Let's go here. Let's go here. Let's grab this down here, and let's keep it on the wide shot for a little while. Let me get my reference material back again. There we go. Okay, so what I want to do is start back here, and we've got some haze that we're seeing this rocky shape through. I'm pulling up the reference material, which you have access to now, by the way. So jump on that reference. TY, in 15 minutes, brother, I want you to let me know about the random comment generator. And in 15 minutes time, I want you to select a name. Who's going to win the t-shirt? Cool? Yep. Awesome, dude. Thank you. TY's on the case. So let's create a nice shadow color. I got into a little bit of that gray, but really what I want to go for is that transparent red oxide and ultramarine blue. Can you feel it? More of the red oxide. Could somebody please close that door? Orly, could you close the door, please? Yeah, just right there. Ultramarine blue, transparent red oxide, and let's start fleshing out this rock. All right, is your camera recording? Thank you. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Tamara. Totally see Nessie. Oh, cut it out. Last rocks I was doing, a live stream a while ago, actually, it was like, it's a dog. No, wait, I see a giraffe. It's like, oh, come on. You guys, hey? But if there's anything distracting like a dog or a portrait or whatever, I tend to go, okay, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Sometimes it can kind of ruin the overall aesthetic you're going for. And, you know, sometimes it can be cool, hiding stuff in your painting. I used to do that. That was fun. But it's not my intention, so I now try to steer clear. I want to create something natural that's not going to feel like a gimmick, not going to catch the eye, not going to be distracting, not going to feel contrived or manufactured. So it's a dragon looking over. Carol, stop it. I have a guess who what it is, but I won't say. And I won't confirm. I can neither confirm nor deny. But in due course, I will release the files. I'll let you know. I tell you what, okay, I'll tell you what it is. I'm coming to the US and it's a rally. I'm having a rally. We're making art great again. Lots and lots of paint. Anyway, sorry, couldn't help myself. I know. But this combination of ultramarine blue, transparent red oxide, phenomenal. Now, what's got to happen if we want to create depth? And the thing with the seascape like this is, yeah, we've got sky, we've got that horizon, the depth is implied, but most of the painting is happening in this immediate section of foreground. We can't even call it midground. So you might say, well, that wave in the midground, it's still right here. It's like 10 meters away from the viewer. But we still want to create some sense of depth. So what have I got? I got line and shape, so my sense of linear perspective. This is where a little bit of practice with your drawing is gonna help. If you're gonna shift that perspective, better know what you're doing. When you drop that horizon line, come into view, and you're looking out across the water at the wave at your level rather than down on it. So that was one of the big changes that we made here. But then, you know, when we're talking about tone, remember tone is king. It is above color. It trumps color, okay? I know, okay, but you know what I'm saying. It trumps color. So that is our first consideration when it comes to creating form, depth, light, and material. So value, what do I want to do with that value if I want to create that depth? Well, here, this already looks like a pretty dark value. Granted, it is looking that way. Am I still focused there? Does that feel focused to you? Let's get into it. There we go. So that looks pretty dark, but I need to have something up my sleeve and drop that value as I come forward. It will start to create that depth. Remember, we're looking through a lot of haze, a lot of atmosphere, a lot of mist that's being illuminated by the sun, and there's this kind of warm glow in the air. Now, as we're looking through that, you're not going to see the true value of the depth of that rock and the shadows. So keep that up your sleeve is what I'm saying. So in here, I might lighten the value of some of these rocks, create a little bit of a glow, transparent yellow oxide, transparent red oxide, a bit of nickel yellow. Dang, that could create a bit of that warm glow. It's still dark, that I'm going to get plenty of contrast with a brilliant light highlight, but I tell you what, man, that's going to really help in just pushing these rocks back, even with a short little amount of depth that we're dealing with. Right. All right. Dan says, I finally moved into my new studio in 2 weeks. Boom, dude. New job interview today. Bam. Awesome. And I go part-time so I can move forward being a professional artist. Hey, dude, well done, man. Well done. Well done. Creator Activator is gold, everyone. So there's a course right now in the Academy on art business. If you want to make some of those moves that Daniel's making, and listen to me trying to take credit for Daniel's success. I can't do that. You can't take that away from Daniel. Knowing how hard that guy works, you know, seriously, like with the job and the hours you were keeping there, Daniel, you know, waking up at the time of day that you were waking up, to just dedicate it to your art, admirable, dude. I know Rowan Carey has a similar story as well, you know, of just really just putting that art first and getting the hours in where they can be fit in. And Rowan, give us an update. How's your art journey going, brother? But really, really exciting. Exciting, mate. So congratulations on the new job interview. Congratulations on the new studio. Onwards and upwards, man. Congratulations. Thank you, Ruben. Yeah. It's all bad. Let's face it, it's all bad. And you can see an interview with Dan on the Creator Activator library. So check it out. Check it out. I think he's awesome. I think he's onto it, and it's going to be great. Bloody good, mate. There's a couple of rocks in amongst my waves. What I love about this type of situation is the shapes. The shapes. How one shape meets another. Now, right here where we've got a little bit of water entering into the rock, let's go ahead and work across that edge and soften it. Break it up and blur it somewhat. Oh, gosh. I don't know about you, but I'm having a good time. Having a cracking time, mate. Yeah. So, a little bit more lighter tone, and right here against the back of that rock, let's clean up that edge, sharp edge of that rock. While the paint's still wet, oh my goodness, we could do an enormous amount of good. So, just adjust that shape of that rock. And I haven't added a highlight yet. I've left a couple of void spaces so we can get in with some highlight. I haven't added it yet. I'm just focused on the tone for now, just the darker tone for now. Now right here, I don't like this being another head of rock. I think I want to make that slope a little bit more gentle. So I will adjust this by bringing in the wave in the background and just have a little bit more of a gentle slope on that. And then let's get this as a darker shape and bring that in next. Bye-bye, horsey. They're seeing Loch Ness Monster, a dragon, and then a horse. Good, I'm glad to have killed the horse. Early mornings, late nights, making painting happen when I can. There's always a little time somewhere. Still trying to find ways to incorporate more art and less construction in my life. Yeah, hey, Rowan, you're doing it, man. You're doing it. I will say this, though, and at the risk of over-directing you, Rowan, or anybody else, one thing that can really help supplement your income as an artist is teaching. And if you can work out a way to teach a class to some kids or to some adults or do a workshop, guaranteed you know something that you can just pass on down the line. You can just pass it on down. And you can start making a little income this way. And that's how I started, you know. And how I started, I ended up like making it happen as a full-time professional artist. But if you know my story, and I've put it on the Creator Activator, I went completely broke because the market left and the market fell out. And this happens from time to time. So glad it happened. I learned so much in that lesson because I had to rebuild. And one of the ways I rebuild is reluctantly I went into teaching. But as soon as I went into teaching and really started doing it and decided like, okay, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to, and I'm going to do the best job I can. And then I was like, I friggin' love this. I absolutely love this. And I get so excited about being here with you and being in those live workshops that I was doing. When I did the plein air tour just now, like just being around people again was just awesome. It was awesome. It's been a lot of years. So teaching live again has really helped me so much and just, again, just, it's awesome. But this is a way that if you want to make a little bit of extra money on the side, teach a night class, teach a workshop. Put a poster up and say, drawing lessons. Or, hey, I'll tell you what, here's an idea. Let's say, well, I'm not in a position to teach, but I'm in a position to learn. Facilitate a group. Take on a life drawing group. Figure out a way to, you could say, look, I'm going to organize a live model or a still life setting or something like that. I'll organize everything, do all the space, hire all the details and all that, advertise it. It's a free, not a non-directed workshop, but come in and paint a little something and join our group and take a little fee for setting it up. There are ways to do this. And all it's doing is just giving you a little bit of money to put something in your pocket, to keep going while you're building in the background, building your skills, building your techniques, building your workshop, your networks, building your email list, building your portfolio, building. So just something to think about. You've been a blessing to us, Andrew. No, you've been a blessing to me, Lori. I tell you what. Well, thank you, Lori. Appreciate you. No worries, Dan. Hey, well done, brother. Bless you, man. Emphasis on the word special there, Sherry. Yeah. All right. Now, what kind of weird creature are you seeing now in these rocks? Go on. A couple of repeating forms, but that's okay. Hopefully we've broken any pattern or distraction. But this is kind of what I'm thinking. I've got a little gap here as well, and I'm looking at my rocks. Good night. There's some cool rocks. I have a little bit of a peak there, poking through. I've dropped the tone here. You can't pick it up through the camera, and that's frustrating to me. That's frustrating. But I've dropped the tone, and I'm still recording, so thanks very much. Those who are reminding me. I'm going to go to the close cam, and let's see, can you pick up a slight drop in the value? It's frustrating that it doesn't come through the camera. It's coming through the recording camera, fortunately, but on the live stream, I'm not seeing it come through. But hopefully you're seeing a drop in the value as I come forward. Now, let's get that flat back out here. And guys, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to select right now. I'm going to get TY to help me here. But right now, TY. Yeah. Okay, right now we are going to roll the random generator. Let me explain how this works before TY gives the name. This is a randomized, completely random, totally random. Basically, it's scouring the entire comments. It is going to pull somebody from the comments at random who's been participating, has been here viewing. And when it does this, again, I had no part of this, so it's just doing it at random. So we are going to be sending a Tisch Academy Tools of the Trade, brand new merch, hasn't even dropped yet on the website. I'm going to send this out in whatever gray this is, gray marl. It's got like a gray fleck to it. Again, I'll show you the t-shirt. I'll show you the shirt. Here it is. Here's the shirt. Tisch Academy, Tools of the Trade. Here we go. Where's my ZV? There we go. Here it is here. Check it out. So it's got all the palette knives and the mediums and all that stuff. I just wanted some cool shirts. I wanted cool merch that I would wear. I'm like, yeah, man, I want some paintbrushes and palette knives and paint tubes and stuff on a shirt. I think that'd be cool. So that's Tools of the Trade. There you go. I am sending this to... It's going. Drum roll, please. Who's got it? Who's got it? 10 seconds. One job, TY. You had one job. All right. All right. Maddie PB. Is it Maddie PB in the house, please? Maddie PB is our winner. Well done, Maddie. I'm sending you a t-shirt. Maddie, hit me up in the comments right now, brother. Or DM me. I will find you. Let me know what size you are, and we'll send you a Tisch Academy t-shirt. Well done, Maddie PB. Okay, I tell you what, I'm going to send away a trucker hat as well. I'm going to give away a trucker hat. TY, roll it again. I'm going to give a trucker hat. I'm going to give a landscape, Monument Valley Landscape Champ trucker hat. Who have we got? Is Maddie PB in the house? Maddie PB, hit me up. Hit me up. Where are you at? Maddie PB is here. Yeah, awesome. What's your size, Maddie PB? Do you mind hitting us up in the chat there? Let us know your t-shirt size there. And the trucker hat goes to
Robin Ward.
Robin Ward. Robin Ward. Congratulations, Robin Ward. Well deserved today. Thank you for your comments today, Robin. Appreciate that. Robin Ward, you can wear this while you're doing your pastry chefing. And you're thinking about white water and whipped cream. It does kind of look like that whipped cream, right? Before you really whisk it into shape. White water comes along, you must whisk it. Anyway, never mind. Andrew, you want it to be brought to your attention when you're repetitive. Well, those rocks are the same shape, even spacing. Well, hang on. We're gonna. Yeah, you might be right. I told you I'd do it. Didn't I tell you I'd do it? Woohoo, says Robin. Yeah, cool. I got a landscape champ hat coming your way, Robin, and a T-shirt out towards heading out towards Maddie. Okay. So I got about 15 minutes left in this live stream. We got some highlights to add, you guys, but I want a couple of adjustments to some of these rocks. And so right here against this little bit of foreground rock, if I've got some repetition, is it in these rocks here, Carol? Is it in these ones here or these ones here, or is it that they both kind of repeat? Yeah, you let me know, okay? Anyway, while I'm chipping away here, I can see a very similar shape here and here. I'll give you that. But I don't mind a little bit of similarity in the shape, because again, a similarity is fine, but an exact repetition, not cool. Really not cool. That's bad juju in compositions. We don't want to do that. How did I get a doohickey of ultramarine blue there? Right. So I was kind of nervous about not getting to cover the whole canvas in this sitting. So I think we've done okay with covering ground. The foreground one is 2 though. Okay, well hang on. Are you going to do any 5-hour live streams? I will do that again, Thomas. I'm probably going to do that once a month, and we'll organize some of that. Maybe, I tell you what, why don't we do one next week? So I will do the public live stream for about 2 or 3 hours, and then the Academy one will be a 5-hour stream, and at the end of that 5-hour stream, I'm going to give away the painting. And we're going to give away randomly to one of our Academy members. So let's get here in the foreground. Let's get some rocks up in here, and it's a little bit of a darker tone. And there were some shapes that seem to repeat, and I get that. So as we're coming in, I want to start to break that up. Let's go back to our wide cam. Let's bring in our ZV. There we go. Now we can see our palette. And I'm just going to be darkening things down as I come forward. And some of these things, we're going to have a little bit of an edge. And we're going to break that edge as this wave starts to lap this stony shore. A couple of little breaks here. Oh, goodness. what I'm thinking about with the brush work, okay? So we started off this live stream talking about brush work, talking about communication. And one thing I want to get away from in my own work, and maybe you feel the same, but it's the dab, 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 dab. It ain't a case of a dabble, do you? You'd be looking at some, and you might be doing this. I want you to catch yourself as you're doing this. So let's pretend this is our painting. And you start making these brush strokes, and it's a dab, 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 dab. With the same load of brush, dab, 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 dab. So still the same load, dab, 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 dab. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to continually reload that brush. Mix up some color, grab some color. So we're trying to balance those four things. Number one, size of the brush. Number two, the amount of paint. Number three, the viscosity of paint. And then number four, continually reloading that brush. This will help us create paint that has these really nice, luscious brush strokes. Spend more time in your palette than you do on the surface of the painting. So, if we're doing this, then we create something that feels a little more deliberate and less timid. Make a statement. It's kind of like this. One thing I've had to do, and you might notice this, and I'm not perfect, but I used to be terrible at this, is that with my communication, when I'm talking to somebody, I try not to say, you know, and so if you'd be talking to somebody, and let's say you're in conversation with somebody, and they, you know, have you ever come across somebody who's talking, they're saying something like, you know, and kind of, what I mean to say is like roundabout, you know, kind of, sort of, but not really, but yes, but no, but, and you're just like, oh, I just want to slap you, bloody get on with it, get to the point. Well, whenever we're dealing with our brush, it's very similar. So what I try to think about is those Chinese calligraphy masters. Load up the brush, make a stroke. There it is. It's just this beautiful, elegant, sweeping motion. The brush enters, it deposits its ink. It's splayed apart in just the right way. The master moves with one sweep of his shoulder or her shoulder, right? And goes through the motion and then lifts the brush off and bam, there's a stroke and it's deliberate. You'll never see a Chinese calligraphy master going dab, 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 dab. And they spend a lifetime trying to perfect a stroke, right? That's what I'm talking about. So when I'm thinking about my painting, I'm thinking about load that brush just so, put that brush down, deposit that brush, and make a statement. Make a statement, and then come back to your palette, reload. So no more than 2 or 3 marks per brush load. If you're trying to think about this, practice this as an exercise, and guaranteed it's going to clean up your brushwork. Now, is Nessie gone? Nikki, you tell me, is Nessie gone? Yeah, yes, I am, Tamara. Thank you very much. Yep, still going, still going. All right. Yep, still going, Jim. Yeah, yep. So, you know, like brushwork, like if I'm going to say something, I want there to be a clear, concise statement, a concept that doesn't have a bunch of ums and uhs and all that good stuff that we all say. I mean, I still talk, but I just say it. The other thing as well is really laboring over and obsessing over the subject, going, oh, I don't know what to paint. What am I going to paint? What am I going to paint? With plein air, this can be a problem. And when you look at an artist like John Singer Sargent, he just pulled up, got his easel out, and got to work, going, right, I'll paint that. There was no fussing about over the subject material. So whatever that initial reaction is, boom. But I spend a lot of time still obsessing over, this has got to be the perfect subject. Doesn't need to be. Just get on with it. So a couple of ways I'm tweaking my approach here in the studio. Now, this, hopefully, Nessie's gone, hopefully. And because the water's entering this way, there might be a little bit of a repeating scoop-like shape where the white water comes up and meets the rock. I'm saying right now, aesthetically, it doesn't bother me. Maybe it's bothering you. Okay. I'm going to go a little bit over, by the way, today, probably by about 10, 15, because I really want to get some highlights in here, and I want to share that part of the process with you. So let's do that. If you got to go, you got to go. You can watch it in the replay, but I'm going to hang out a little bit longer today. Is that cool? All right. I'm going to go through withdrawals until I see you again next week. So let's do it, okay? Clean up some of these edges with my dagger as I come through. Sharper edges across the tops of some of those rocks. And again, once this dries and hardens, I can always come back with the second layer, and I will. I think this thing has legs. So I'm really vibing this idea. As a concept, I think this has got something that's gonna work for me. Nessie is gone. All right. How about his paintings in Venice from the gondola? Yeah. Amazing. Park Pulse, amazing. Trying hard to do that seems like I need a huge palette, lol. Thursdays are bad for me, says Joe. Oh, sorry, bro. But there will be a replay. There will be a replay. Oh no, sea creatures are gone. Oh, I'm glad. Love to win that painting next week, coming from my most favorite teacher. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Ah, amazing. QQQ, do you have a subject already for next week's live? And yes, hoping to hang out. So it will be another Seascape. Again, because I want to flesh out and build out that library on the Academy. So I'm just doing a little bit of background prep now. So it'll be probably a similar size, but we're going to be pushing it a little bit further. So we'll start off with a 3-hour session. I don't know exactly which one yet. I can tell you it's going to be rocks, waves, light. And so it'll be a very similar theme, but a different scene. But it is... wait, Jim, is next week's live stream going to be Seascape?
Well, we did originally say it was going to be mountains. Right?
Can we please do Seascape?
Yeah, that's fine. Do whatever you want.
I want to do Seascape. Who's at the door? Oh. Oh, okay, can you go? And I've got 15 minutes left in the live stream. She can hang about, but yeah, 15 minutes left. Oh, okay, yeah. Just 15 minutes left of the live. Right. Okay, so light. Light. I'm going to save my tonal best for last. I really feel like that tonal best is going to be that reflection of the brilliant light on the rock. So let's get into the light that's shining off the water. I'm going to use the same dagger. Here's my dagger here, the 1/2-inch dagger. So there it is there, but it's loaded up with blue. So what can we do about that? Well, let me get in here, and I'm going to wipe this off, and I'm going to get as much of that blue residue off that brush as possible. We're going to go with a little bit of an orangey color, complementary opposites. Oh man, another Seascape, you're spoiling me. You got it, man. Seascape is great. Yeah, it was going to be mountains, but I'm vibing the Seascapes. I'm vibing the Seascapes. Let's do it, eh? I need more nickel yellow. Nickel yellow in the house, please. Let's have it. Let's have it. Where are we? I got nickel yellow. Yeah, boom, bomb diggity. There we go. Before I squeeze out my tube, my little rule is that I need gloves on before I squeeze anything out of those tubes, eh? The reason why is because my tubes are friggin' contaminated, dude. There's always a leak of something, and so just a bit of studio practice. I just don't want to get any of that stuff on my fingers. Now that's starting to slump. Let me just suck some of the oil out of that. Bit of paper towel under your, if you get any of this oily residue, just a little bit of paper towel under that lump of paint. That should do really nicely. It'll soak all that stuff up. And away we go. I might just keep my gloves on because I'm going to be washing these brushes shortly anyway. Right. Now, titanium white, nickel yellow. And what did we say before? A little bit of cadmium red light. So nice. A little bit of liquid impasto. And let's start getting into that highlight territory. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to switch to the close camera. You've seen how I mixed that color. And if I saved my tonal best for last, if I come in here with a highlight just going across the front of this little wave here, then I should be able to lift that tone out. Now, I'm not sure what's going on with my colors here on this camera. It is really bothering me, but let me go over here and go to the, oh, that's why. That should feel a little bit better. My temperature balance was off. Okay. Now, I'm going to try and keep those highlights just concentrated to a couple of areas. And it's not pure white, by the way, that I'm adding right now. Where's Gary K? I need a dad joke. I'll give you a dad joke. Give me a minute. Dad joke currently loading. All right. Again, just feeling my way along. A little bit of ambiguity is kind of cool. Getting lost in the brushwork is kind of cool. Don't overdefine. And one of the things I'm telling myself now, I am not going to overwork this one. I am not going to overwork this one. But you need to, if you're going to be working wet and wet, by the way, with any amount of highlights, working into some of these zones, reload that brush continually. Don't expect a brush load of highlight color to go very far before you have to get into a bit more wet paint. Now, because I've been holding back with my tone, then hopefully you can see here that any lighter marks that I'm adding are starting to stand out. With the exception of here, that's pretty bright. We could still go brighter still. So that's just another step up in the value, just a couple of those marks, just a half step maybe in the value. Okay. Right. Should the waterline be level in the painting? Yeah, just bear in mind that you're looking at a camera rig that is not level. Yes, it is level. I haven't measured it, but if I, hang on, where is my camera? Oh, wrong camera, what a numpty. Let me go to the other camera. It's on the close, isn't it? So if I just do this, it should be a little more level. Just remember, you're viewing this at an angle. Just based on where the camera is, it's coming in at an angle. So to my eye, this is actually level. As it comes forward, there's a little bit of a slope here in places to some of these lines as the wave starts to roll in. But maybe I can break up some of that line and blur out some of that effect. Right. Now over here against these rocks, let's just get a couple of these marks in. Concentrate those highlights to just a couple of areas, and then we'll add some glints of light here in just a minute. So because I was holding back with my tone, it means whatever light I'm adding now has the opportunity of standing out. And it's just an effect of contrast. Now, right here, I've got some, have a look at some of that reference material that's attached to the live stream now. I've got some great stuff of waves on the shore. Where did you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? It's before it breaks. It's like that slight whipped cream before it actually curls over and breaks. And in areas like this, it's just a couple of peaks on that white water. So have a look at the reference. I'm going to get this out of my way so I can actually see, and you can see what we're doing down here. Oh gosh, what fun. Now I'm happy with this as a block-in. Still recording on the other camera. It's giving me enough information to definitely go on. For one sitting, we've got composition down. Is it perfect? No. Far from it. There's a lot of stuff that I want to work out. There's maybe some evenness, some repetition, some pattern, but as I sit with this for a little while and let it dry, put it up on the wall, analyze it, put it up for some cook time, you know the drill, these ideas will come to me. A little more saturation. So there's a slight amount of gold in this highlight color, so that will work really nicely against some of that violet. All right. Hopefully I'm not getting in the way of that camera. I probably am getting in the way, aren't I? My head's getting in the way. I still like the wave, find it actually interesting that it does not pop and you have to guess. All right, we haven't gotten to the wave yet, but we will. I like a little bit of ambiguity there too, so I'm vibing that too. A little bit of a splash around that rock. Add a bit more in a bit. And then, what about this wave? Well, I think we need a little bit more definition on the crest of that wave. There's a little bit of light shining across the top in a couple of places. A little bit of light Is that from me?
Yeah.
Oh, who's that from?
Me. Short black. Do you want some more hot water in?
Yeah, just a wee bit, eh? Oh, thank you.
Cool.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. We'll just break up the top of that a little bit. All right. And then over here, define that a little bit more. Ambiguous? Sure, you bet. There might be a little bit of light coming through here. What else? Maybe right here, we might start to get a bit of light coming through. What about our rocks then? I think the rocks are really going to help establish context. That's my hope anyway. Let's get something a little bit different. You haven't seen me use this yet in this live stream. This one is an ivory flat. An ivory long flat number 2. What happened to the shiny metal live stream? As soon as I read that, Balsam retracted her comment. But shiny metal live stream, we'll work it on that some more. Is the recording of that up, Balsam? Double check. Thank you, bro. Right, here we go. I'm going to go for. Oh, you can't even see my palette. What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm dropping the ball here, right here at the end. Let's go to the palette. Palette, please. Reference, please. There we go. What we want is that brilliant highlight. I'm going for a pure nickel yellow. I'm going to lift out the opacity with titanium white, increase the impasto quality with a little bit of liquid impasto. And I'm going to create something that is a thick, opaque, bright highlight. There it is right there. Hope you're still recording. You sound like a broken record today. I sound like a broken record today. Ha. I started Seascape in oil I'm not happy with. Can I gesso over it? No. My gesso is acrylic, so I'm assuming I'd need a different kind. No, just carry on with oils. So once you go on with oils, you must continue with oils. The trick with highlights on rocks, especially if you want to create rocks that look wet, is that you want to have a little bit of a point of difference between your highlight and a mid-tone. So I'm going to hold back with just a couple of the colors here, but I'm making some statements with my brush. I'm going to add a little bit of transparent red oxide, transparent yellow oxide, a little bit of Cremnitz white, a little bit of nickel yellow, and then right here, what I'm doing is I'm just making statements with the flat edge of that ivory flat. So it's giving me a little bit of definition, somewhat. It could be a little more defined. A new brush will get you there. This is an older brush. But right here with this rock, what helps this look wet and bright is if I come in and I make a statement and I go, bam, and I have something that has clear defined edges. Now I'm starting to really work out that nickel. It is not opaque. It's not. So that is interesting. So I need that titanium to maintain my opacity. A little bit more liquid impasto to maintain my thickness of the stroke. But I'm going to work back into this highlight color. But I think just a touch of highlight here and there. I hate this brush. This is not a good brush. This brush is not doing what I want it to do. I need something that's going to give me sharpness. I cannot work in these conditions. Here we go. All right, good. Let's go. Let's rock the ivory dagger 3/8. Boom, 3/8 of an inch ivory dagger. You got it. There we go. I've mixed in a bit more transparent red oxide and transparent yellow oxide. And that's going to give me, hopefully, some nice defined edges. It might look a little funny at the start, but let's go ahead and keep adding and keep adding and keep adding. At the end of the day, we can always go back over the top with another layer of paint. But reload that brush so you still maintain definition on some of these highlights. Now that you've seen me do the rocky highlights, let's go back to our close-up angle and see if you can make out what I'm putting down here. We should give Andrew some likes. Well, it's not a public live stream, so the likes are a bit redundant. But we will, I'll definitely be asking you for likes on the public one next week. But right in here, just in random places right here and there, we're going to be catching a nice rocky highlight. So keep it sharp, keep it defined. Any evenness, okay, we can sort it out later. At the end of the day, it's going to break up in a way that will show some form of pattern. So, as my grandfather would say, it don't make no never mind. This rock, probably caught in a shadow, won't get much of a highlight on there, but this one might. My head is in the way. Yeah, sorry, I apologize for the big numpty head in the way. Let me see if I can get you even closer. Okay, give me a second. Let's adjust this camera and see if I can get you a nice seat here. We can actually see what's going on. Bear with me. All right, here we go. All right, that appears to be focused. You guys get the drill now with the reference material, so pull some of that up. There we go. Well, let's go ahead and get some highlights on these rocks. All right. When is the open live stream? We're going to announce that as soon as we have the times. I think I've got the times. Maybe Jim Fairburn can remind me when that is. But the live stream for next week, Jim Fairburn? The Aussies can be part of it. So when's the public live stream happening? At 10 a.m. next week?
I think we're going to do the public one earlier, but I guess we could just do them both at the same time. But you said you wanted to do a 5-hour one, so if you start...
Well, open my Google Calendar. I put it in there, eh?
Okay. Just you mentioned you want to do a 5-hour one. If you do a 5-hour one at 10, it won't be done until 3. So...
Oh, true that. That's a big day.
Yeah.
No, I'll do it.
You'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll do 10 till 3. I'll do 10 till 3 on Friday next week.
Have a big breakfast.
I'll eat on the podcast, on the live stream. I'll do it.
The public one you said starting at 9 in the morning,
Okay.
and then the academy one, yeah, starting at 10.
Public starts at 9, goes for 3 hours. Academy will start at 10, New Zealand time, and go for 5.
That's Thursday, Friday, New Zealand time. Is what you got it down as.
Oh, goodness, that's going to be real fun. Joe's going to struggle that day because he's not going to be able to keep his mouth shut. Trying to ask Joe to keep his mouth shut for 5 hours straight is like next to impossible. He desperately wants to fire back right now, but he's not allowed. I'm so mean. I know, I'm terrible. Keeping those highlights concentrated will hopefully give us the impression that we've got some friggin' light there, dude. So keep it concentrated to a point of light. I'll come in there and add a few more little strokes of color. Let's get down in here. Let's get down in there. Zoom out a wee bit. There we go. Aye. Get focused right there. Vegemite sandwiches for everyone next week. Yeah, all right. Something like 4 to 9 p.m. Central Time. Yeah, we'll be letting everybody know. I'm going to send out a newsletter. And I'm going to send out a newsletter to my email list. I'll send out a newsletter to the Academy list. And we'll let everybody know. And I might even start posting on social media again. Maybe. Don't quote me on that. But I don't know. All right, down here in the foreground. Let's have a wee bit of reference. couple of pinpoints of light on these rocks, just to lift them out. And it's not about a huge concentrated amount of light, it's just a touch of light. And from my block-in, which I'd consider this a block-in, there's a bit of information here, but this gives me a really good foundation to build on. And again, it will probably change. I might remove just sections of the painting and replace it with something else. But so far, I think it's kind of working. Maybe a little bit of variation in some of those tonal values there, but let's get a little bit of a brighter highlight right there. And again, I'm seeing all kinds of interesting shapes in these rocks, and a little bit of ambiguity is all right. Right. It's interesting that my highlight color is so close, it's almost imperceptible with the color of the imprimatura. So let me shift the temperature and go a little bit hotter with a bit of Indian yellow and a bit of cadmium red. And get a bit more temperature, a bit more of that orange in some of that highlight. Any last minute questions before we wrap this one up? Still recording there, Mr. Meeker. Still recording. Yeah, so Desiree is going, is that the same live stream? The one for 3 hours public and the one for 5 hours for the Academy, correct? Right. Oy, oy, oy. I could keep going. I could keep going. Should we keep? No, I've nearly done half an hour extra. It's 3.5 hours. There's a lot of painting there, folks. Okay. We're giving away a hat today. We're giving away a T-shirt. Thank you to my trusty helper there today, young T.Y. Pomade. Appreciate it, brother. So we've got a couple of giveaways heading out your way. Go ahead and hit me up, Maddie, and hit me up, Robin, via the DMs, and let me know your postal address. And Maddie, let me know your T-shirt size, and we'll have that on the way to you. And in the meantime, I am going to be working on some critiquing, some freaking critiquing, bro. And I'm also going to be working on some waves so I can prepare for next week's live stream. Cannot wait. Couple of final little highlights on the tippy top of the surface just to give an indication of direct sun glinting off the surface of that water. Again, it's not the end of the process because I'm going to add some layers, but this will give me a little bit of an idea of of how that could work in a concentrated way in just some areas of the painting. But notice if you're holding back with your tone, just a little glint of light shining off that surface works really nicely. All right. Hey. Okay. Well, I keep threatening to hang this up, but I then see another mark I want to make, and I can't bloody stop myself. I think it'll work. Do you guys think it'll work? You think this one will work? I think it'll work. We've got a bit more to do, but yeah, excited about this one. Cool. We'll leave it there. Goodness me. Let's zoom out a little bit and check out what we achieved today. So one thing I'm really keen on doing here is getting more of a sense of that light. And I might get a little bit of the glow in the wave out here, just a little bit. But again, that's the subject. So hopefully that's where our eye's drawn. And you can see now with this path of light with this rock, hopefully we've got rid of some of the distracting shapes, but hopefully it leads the eye, boom, straight up here. And then hopefully anything else going on here leads your eye in here to this moment of impact and energy. So good fun. Good fun. All right, well, hey, I'm going to get out of here and get back to work. But thanks again to everybody for joining us here on the live stream. Thanks to everybody also for being part of Tisch Academy. Oh my goodness. We've got huge plans for the Academy this year. There's so much stuff in the works that is just gonna blow your mind. So I won't give anything away yet, but in due course I will keep you posted. And right now we are furiously working away in the background, just creating another amazing tour experience for whoever's going to be joining us on the next round of tours. And again, those last ones sold out so quick, so don't hang around. To my first, I'm going to leave it open for the people that just joined us. If they want to come back again and do something slightly differently, that would be awesome. And then we're going to open it up to the Academy, and then we're going to open it up to the public. So next week, here's the details. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go public with a live stream on Thursday here in New Zealand, which if you're in the US right now, it's going to be your Wednesday. Here in New Zealand, I'm going to be going live 9 a.m., I think it is, 9 a.m., 9 till 12, so 3 hours in the public live stream. We'll be doing another Seascape, and then I'm going to take that same painting and I'm going to keep working on it the very next day on the Academy live stream for 5 hours, 10 till 3 here in New Zealand. And at the end of that live stream, I'm going to give away the painting. So, you got to be in it. All right, we're going to give it away at random. Hey, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks so much. I'm going to get out of here, and I will see you again next week. See ya.